Welcome to StarFinder, the Fragments of Eternity. I am Ryan, the GM. This is session 19, I want to say. Sure, it's 19 now. And it's 11th of March, 2019. 19 again. And here are the players.
Hi there.
Oh.
Calum really liked that one. I'm Nico, and I'm playing Zora, the Vest Captain.
Greetings, listeners. I'm Alex, and I played Nix 5, the android mechanic.
Meanwhile,
What just happened?
yes.
Hi there!
Wow. Well,
Oh, too much. We're all dying now. It's over.
Hello, I'm Colin. I play Lyko, sneaky, spooky. That's your lot.
Hooray!
Hi, I'm Calum. I'm back, and I am Zigg. I'm also very tired. I've been a busy boy.
yeah. In fact, let's just start there. How have you been, Calum?
Man, the week I've had.
It's a brave
So-
new world.
It is with just a handful of men, you
Oh
too
my.
can start all over again. So
Much
we put on Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds last weekend, and
We
oh
did.
my
Calum
god,
and
no,
his people did.
me and my other people. Yes, I do have other people. No, they're not as nice as these people. Yeah,
Oh.
I know how to pander.
I'm open to it.
Yeah, and I it was fantastic. It was honest to God. I've never been so proud of anything I've ever done, other than Zigg. And
Oh.
yeah, it was. If you've never listened to Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds,
You're missing
don't
out.
because I've done it better.
The Zigg's War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
That's a lie. It is the greatest musical concept album of all time, and everyone should listen to it.
I hope
Yes.
too soon. Ideally the Zigg version.
Yes, the Zigg version will be coming out shortly.
Good.
Oh, and if Mr. Wayne is ever listening to this and you need a new artilleryman, I'm right here.
If you want to score our series, we're right here.
Yes.
Yes. Did you know he released a musical version of Spartacus?
Yes, I have yet to listen to it.
I have yet to listen to it too, but I assure you it's probably gold.
As a fan of Jeff Wayne, I've lately been binging The Mechanics. I recommend them for some similarly
Ooh.
story-based.
Well, I enjoyed see that
shenanigans.
sci-fi stuff you sent last time.
Ah.
That was so good.
That was The Mechanics, the Bifrost incident.
Yeah, God, it was
Oh,
so
yes.
good. I sat and listened to that on my lunch
Fantastic.
break, the whole thing, and it
Absolutely
was just
fantastic.
kept going. It was just brilliant. The Ragnarok 3-parter or whatever it was, 5-parter, I can't remember. It was a ridiculous number of parts, and it was excellent. I actually think Loki was the best song on the whole thing, though.
Yes.
Like
No,
the rest was good, but I actually think Loki was the best one.
Actually, no. I think my favourite one is when they go to visit the guys in prison. It's just the bit where you just start shouting at them. Where the fuck did you get that violin from? That's how every bard ever should be played.
Yeah, agreed. To be honest, yeah. So their recommendation, what we just said. Anything else been happening, Alex?
I mean, I'm just stressing with job interviews coming up and things. But yeah,
Good luck for those.
it'll be fun. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. Nico.
Nothing much. Just work and play.
Buy
work.
me more jewellery. That was you. So good. Can you say in that tone? Can you say buy me more jewellery?
No, probably
Go for it.
not.
Go for it though.
Buy me more jewellery.
I am somewhat lost here, I'll be honest. with you.
Oh,
Oh
we're doing-
dear.
It's the ASDF movies, and there's a little.
Buy
skit.
me more jewelry.
That's the one. And
Buy
it's,
me more jewelry.
the link's on YouTube somewhere. And
Doesn't look-
yeah,
look like
cool.
anything to me.
it doesn't look like anything at all to me. What? Anything else, Nico? Sorry, to not just sidetrack entirely,
just-
or anything I should say, not anything else. Anything.
just work and play. That's all.
Just
Really.
work and play. Okay.
Zug.
Colin.
What are you doing? I loved that game. I haven't played it in a long time. What have I done? Let me check my calendar because I don't fucking remember things that have happened.
It's out in
recently.
December, actually, the remake of that, isn't it?
It's oh yeah, I think so. March. Lovely Seals on a Rock. What did I do? Friday night I went out for dinner at my friend's, and it was very nice. And hung out with some mutual friends who are very lovely people they don't see very often. And yeah, it was a good night, and I drank more than I probably should have with work the next day. But I came in feeling not at all hungover, so that was great.
So
I've
is it?
done some cleaning around the house today, which was nice and productive. And sorry, I've been boring also. I mean, it was a really good night. We literally just sat in. Nikki made dinner for us, which was lovely. Got a bit drunk. Got slapped in my tattoo, which was not fun, but it didn't hurt as bad as I anticipated. It was actually alright.
Which, if I haven't said on the recording yet, it looks awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
It's absolutely
Appreciate
great audio, this conversation. But yeah, it does look
What a
really cool.
bitch. But it's come along. It's going to need some touch ups. I'm getting that done in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
Ah!
It's just when you went,
Ah!
well,
I
I went and seen Captain Marvel, and
Sweet
Oh.
Friday.
Great.
Great.
I enjoyed
I
it.
hate you.
I enjoyed
hate
it.
you for that.
I think I have tiny gripes about certain choices I won't go into for the sake of spoilers.
Spoilers.
So I won't do that. But anybody that wants to speak to me privately about my opinions of the movie, you're more than welcome to, and then we'll probably end up talking about other stuff. But the overall opinion of the movie was, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought Brie Larson did fantastically. I think the actual entire production team did really well. The music was one of the best things about the movie because it was so 90s. It was great. Weirdly feel good in a lot of places as well. Don't think that was the actual intention of the movie, but I think it was just the music was quite feel good. And just now I'm going to spoil the credit music just so everybody's fully aware. I'm about to spoil the credit music of Captain Marvel. It was Celebrity Skin by Hole. And see having the movie
I'm a
end
big
with
fan of Colin,
ba-now,
yeah.
ba-now, ba-now. That was so fucking good.
Don't make me over.
Yeah, it was so good.
It had a solid soundtrack.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. And as per usual, the credits were gorgeous because Marvel movies have just decided to try the one-upmanship with their credits game. And
The
they're
opening
good.
credits caught me.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just see the shot, like the Starfield shot of the hangar doors opening though. That is just beautiful. But anyway, that's again maybe edging a bit vaguely into spoiler
Not
territory.
really.
I know, but like
That's fine.
I don't want to lose our one audience member. Also, hello Nick.
Hi, Nick.
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 What are you gonna say there, Alex?
I was just going to ask how much you paid for your cinema tickets, because I'm trying to figure out whether they've gone down or not.
$11.50.
Because my local cinema,
I don't know if
Shit.
that's how much I paid, but that's how much we charge.
yeah, our one is charging something like $5.50.
Wow, that is
Cinema
cheap.
ticket. I don't know if that's off peak or
That's
something.
That must be.
But yeah, that's with the leather recliners and everything.
Ooh.
Cheapest
Wow.
cheaps.
It's $13.50 if you want to get the leather recliner.
Jesus. Yeah, okay. So come to my local cinema,
Where do you live again?
Edinburgh.
I mean, it's not
That's-
actually that far, all told.
That's it. It's the one down at Ocean Terminal.
I keep
I
telling
think
you,
it's
Alex, we need to plan a weekend where I'll bring over a lot of anime,
Weekend.
right? And then we'll marathon through that because I'm pretty sure there was both Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop you had to watch,
Yes.
and yeah. So we need to make a start on that at some point. in
So
the
everyone
future.
come to Edinburgh.
Okay, guys, game's over.
Really?
I'm on my way.
On we go.
I'm sure it'll be over in Edinburgh at some point. Maybe once work dies.
Wow.
I mean,
When the art conservation program dies.
when art ceases, no, when my temp contract expires, because I think I'm safe enough to say on here that I have no intention of reapplying when they make the permanent post available, for various reasons. Unfortunate, I do like my job a great deal. I'm out. So I should ideally, I'm going to be looking for work, and if I can't find anything, I'll just do a bit of volunteering, because obviously it's a sector which uses a lot of volunteers. But yeah, ideally I should have my weekends free again for the first time in like 3 fucking years. I mean, obviously I've had weekends off, but I cannot tell you how good it feels to know that endless weekend work is soon, in fact, ending.
Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe see some of you, you know?
Yeah, imagine.
That would be nice, you know, for a change, instead of just being these ethereal voices online. Speaking of which, though, let's get started.
Oh yes.
Yes.
The ethereal voice speaks!
Yes. So, yeah. Just a wee announcement. We don't have a Olka or an Emlyn anymore, unfortunately. There was a sad scheduling conflict, which meant she can no longer play the game. I was going to say she can no longer be with us, and I feel like if people jump in now, that seems like she's gone, and she's
dead.
not.
Yep.
So, like, it's just that maybe if the stars align and she's able to join us again in the future, cool. We'll definitely see what we can do about bringing Evelyn back, or maybe Olka is just as a different character, who knows. I'd love to see her play Alice through some hijinks. That would be hilarious. It's like, what have I become? But alas, it does mean that at this exact point in time, if MD is keeping up to date with this, please submit your application to take her place now to me somehow, and we'll consider you as the additional person of the crew. Because we're gonna try and find a fifth, but if we don't, we don't. We're gonna see what people think, and then if we don't, we don't. But yeah, that's my announcement. My sadness is complete, and yeah. So
I will take bribes for anyone who wants me to put a good word in for them, and
that word is balloon, just so you know.
I will take money if we're offered.
Just in general.
I will take all the money.
Take other.
Oh, I wish I
people's
thought of
goods.
money.
But yeah, so anyway, right. Who remembers what happened last time in StarFinder, the Fragments of Eternity, the game we're totally here to play seriously?
We destroyed the Eoxian fleet.
I mean,
I had a lengthy conversation with MO.
You did indeed. And what was that conversation about? Please paraphrase for Zigg's benefit.
Oh, numerous things. She basically, she offered me a job. I turned down the job politely, not so politely.
Right.
It
First of all,
let's
do a back and forth, right, Nico? Let's do a back and forth. So, Zigg, do you know who MO is?
The name rings a bell. That's about it. I'm afraid.
Right. Let me.
entertain you.
There is MO.
Okay.
Right. So.
She's got weak legs that you can't tell from that picture.
Yeah, conveniently.
It's almost like I planned that part.
I said it so bitchfully.
Conspiratorially is what you meant. But yeah, bitchfully, if you will.
Bitchfully.
The colloquial bitchfully, if you will.
Yeah. No, that's.
I'm waving my
Very standard
pen
English.
here, you know, but yeah. So anyway, MO is the CEO of the Aspis Consortium.
Right. Okay. Yes.
She was the name at the top floor.
Oh.
2 places above Edgar's,
Yes.
with Meng Po being the second name.
And she offered me Edgar's job.
Off to
I
work.
said no.
So yeah, Zigg, he turned down Edgar's job.
Right.
And
Okay.
the perks therein.
Edgar?
That's
Yeah, sure.
very good to know.
And he wanted some sugar water.
Water.
No, we don't want that.
Sorry.
Discuss basically, she wants us to start a war with the Dark Elves, which we're probably going to do anyway, so I kind of accepted.
Let's just let that sink in, Zigg. Your captain has signed up to start a war with the Dark Elves.
We didn't
In
start
fairness,
the war.
I want them to die.
But it was always burning.
Since the war's been turning.
We didn't start the fire.
It actually just makes you think of the US office. Ryan started the fire, because that's what they sing in that.
In turn, we got an equipment upgrade. Ship's getting an upgrade.
Yay!
Could get an obscene amount of money if we go get Edgar. So keep him alive, please.
You got the same amount of money?
Oh yeah, I got an obscene amount of money. That's right. I got like 100 grand or something, didn't we?
We could get an obscene again.
Yeah, I could get another obscene amount of
Obscene
money.
2, The Reckoning.
Just keep Edgar alive long enough so we can hand him over to Emily to get murdered, please.
That was
Thanks.
an AJJ song, People 2 The Reckoning, which I think is one of the best song titles I've ever encountered.
That is a
AJG
beautiful
standing
song.
for Andrew Jackson Jad.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Why don't they use that name more often these days?
I mean, it's
Oh.
a good question.
Anything
It's
else,
a good
Nico?
question, and I'll endeavour to find someone who can answer it.
Nico?
Other than, I mean, I tried to get some information about the whole Void Dragon nonsense, but like, I never got much. And
Did you really
that's
try?
all I mean, I kind of tried, but like, I just
I'm
got racist remarks and down
I'm
talked.
wholeheartedly
Like,
convinced.
I got down talked like for a session by her. Alright, there was no much I was getting for her.
So your captain was offered a moon. Can we just highlight that?
Oh yeah,
part?
of course. Yeah, I forgot that. I was offered a moon. Yeah.
Sometimes you get offered a moon, though, and who needs that?
The thing is, a moon takes a lot of upkeep.
Yeah, it's not trouble.
You've got to keep it in orbit.
I don't think you need to personally keep it in orbit.
You're-
Like,
you're
I mean,
keep it
I feel
moon-oiled.
like once it's in orbit, you kind of, you can just leave it for a bit.
Hey, I've
This
got
is
the highest
exciting,
physical
this is the
science
star, man.
score.
yeah.
I've got the highest physical science score. I know moons.
I control gravity. Okay.
And he's a star shaman.
You tried.
I am the sun.
So you have been fucking.
Oh,
No,
Yeah,
I say
I've-
we ask Conspiracy Craig.
I
Yep.
can shoot people.
yeah, check the Conspiracy Craig website, yeah.
Put a poll up.
So, you were all, like, essentially, MO doesn't really understand what low-tier economics are, and
Hmm.
basically said, I don't know, what you want for this, like a moon? And then, kind of Zora went, no, stuff, though, would be good. And I'm paraphrasing. Yeah.
Basically, it says if you want us to wage a war, we're going to need
5,
stuff to wage a war with. That's exactly what I said. Basically. Basically.
Exactly what I said, kind of.
More or less.
kind
Okay.
of.
Anyway, it's exactly what I may have said. And
From a certain point.
yes. Then Emmeline had a lot of mental conversations with Emma O using the inside voice.
That's
And
fucking mental.
they
Those conversations were pure mental, man.
yep, and
Cool.
they agreed to share a lot of information and try and work out what Edgar was trying to hide in her head, and try and solve what else is in there, because something made this weird black spherical room in her head, and she was very interested in that. Which was
Who among us wouldn't be?
yeah, well, everybody doesn't know about it, and
Well, yeah, but I mean, who among us had that happen to them?
Yeah.
I think we would all go, that's noteworthy.
because like in the middle of the room there was just the mug was sitting there, the universe's greatest dad mug, and Emma O picks up and's like, and Emmeline's like, that's mine, can I have it? And then she goes, sure, just gives her it back. So they had a moment. But I think that's how I'm going to be writing Emmeline out, is that Emmeline's going to stick around with Emma O for a bit. I'm going to just narratively excuse her when we get the actual narrative going. Beyond that, Lyko, do you want to catch him up on what he missed from you?
So, there was the fleet, okay? And that arrived.
Mhm.
And from that point, there was a lot of standing around waiting for the fleet to do something, which it didn't, mostly. until eventually it did. And at this point, eight, am I right?
Yeah,
Ryan?
sure.
Bone Sages came on board. And they were generally quite unusual looking individuals, but one of them has artwork which you have now seen, and I'm sure can agree is distinctly fucking a wee bit mental, aye. And
Definitely
that
a
individual-
unique looking individual.
distinctive and fucking weird. But yeah, this particular individual, who's gradually turning me into Glaswegian, has been
Gradually.
Gradually.
he has
Ion
been
ate
sort
me.
of
I am
vaguely.
fucking insulted.
Listen, I'm the one who's been implied to sound Glaswegian here. Yeah, what was I saying? I've lost track. Sorry. Yeah, being accosted, frankly, by this all too familiar entity, which did a lot of face stroking while I spoke to it. It was uncomfortable. And Lyko kind of had a exposition splurge at it in the hope of getting some information. But then it did brain melding and the session ended. Well, not quite, but
Yeah, like just a couple of little details that you skipped over, which I appreciated though. The brevity was nice, and the
I am brief. No, I'm not. That's a
I
lot.
don't think Eddie's ever said that to you, have they? The brevity was nice.
No, actually, no.
Yeah, see, I love you. Oh, I'm not actually inside. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, no, but wait, that's good.
Is it? Anyway, he was deputized by Shakos from the stewards. There was a bit of a standoff. They arrived, and the Bone Sages gave Lyko a strange look, and the commander of the words stewards. Do you remember their name? The commander's name at all?
Fuck.
Babak.
Grace, yeah, okay, because I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Who was one of the mouth
Kasathas,
heading
yep.
Kasathas,
The four-armed Kasathas,
four-armed
yep.
mouth hydras, as
Go
they're
on.
known.
Yep. It was a Dordan Babak. Commander
Dordan Babak, there you go.
Dordan
I
Babak.
told you it was a weird
Yeah,
name.
it was a weird name, but I can say it, which is better than Eskate's name. And the weird thing is, the origins of her name were so much weirder. But anyway, so Dordan Babak, the commander, was like quite a bit uncomfortable with this almost incursion of 8 of the Bone Sages that appeared. And the Bone Sages are like the leaders of Eox, and they generally don't ever leave Eox, or at least to the overall Pact World's knowledge, they don't. They don't really meet with people. They fob people off all the time. But here they are, 8 of them. And
Oh,
then,
yes, and that's the thing that I probably should have mentioned that I didn't.
It's okay, we'll get there. You can,
Performer number.
yeah. They looked at Lyko and gave him a strange look, and then the commander said, "We'll assign an ambassador as soon as we can get someone here." And they went, "No, him." And they picked Lyko to be their ambassador. I think the audience know probably why, even if players don't. But yeah, the slightly undead nature of Lyko is probably more interesting to them than just a random official from the Pact Worlds. That, or they just went, "No, he'll do. He's here. Whatever. Could be anything." But it's not. It's the fact that he's undead. And then the one that I showed you the image of there, Sindail, introduces themselves to Lyko, and he goes, "But you can call me Cindy," in that really creepy off-kilter.
Which I remember. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And then kind of just has him as the attaché, really, or ambassador or bodyguard, I guess, or
Atish.
yeah, the attaché. And then they go.
Great stuff of the girl.
Like, we kind of skip a couple hours into the timeline, and then we see them like just kind of pacing the ambassadorial suite for the Eoxians, and they start talking to each other, and Sindail creepily starts like pawing at like Lyko's just body, really, just while in kind of random conversation, and then they start back and forth discussing the potential for a deeper alliance, I guess. Helping each other out, as it were.
That's That sounds dodgy.
I mean, what actually happened doesn't. And like, and then do you want to add in your extra little bit about the numbers, the former numbers, maybe?
Yes, there being 8 of them is their full number. However, there had been 40, I believe.
That isn't the exact number, but yeah, like there were more bone sages than there are left.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Whatever caused them to leave meant their numbers were ridiculously reduced. And yeah, they never explained what did that. And that was a really almost intimate or uncomfortably intimate conversation that Lyko actually had with Sindael that nobody else was specifically privy to. It wasn't like, oh, we have reported why we're visiting, Absalom Station. They just went, hello, we've parked in your weapon range. We're going to wait. And then they eventually communicated and landed, and yeah. And there's a lot of ships. There was I can't remember exactly how many I said, but there was a whole bunch of ships outside. As I said, all those numbers are... Well, all the numbers are in the previous recording, so people can go look for them. And yeah, they all exist there, and they're also on a page of my notes somewhere. But it was a big deal because it kind of seems like it was a fucking exodus as opposed to... Or, people rightly so probably assumed invasion, firstly. Especially the lack of communication. But then, these people aren't necessarily known for etiquette, or at least station etiquette, packed world etiquette, despite being the first people to sign. But anyway, so where we kind of ended was Lyko doing some weird mind meld to explain the past that he's been through with Sindael, because Sindael pretty much said, well, you show me and I might help you, and then we'll go from there, as all the while pawing at his face, while he just kind of weirdly hangs from those chicken legs. And then Zora and Emmeline got into an elevator and had a wee conversation with someone else, a third person in the elevator. Do you wanna...
Yeah, Mr. Edgin.
Edgin? Mr. Edgin, hello there.
Edgin. Hey, I'm Mr. Edgin.
Had a conversation yet with him, have I?
Yeah, you tried to punch him.
Oh yeah, I tried to punch him.
That's
right.
It's that conversation, technically speaking.
My fist says hello. So, Emmeline has Hedger, as you know. And Hedger appeared in the elevator and was basically saying that was a bad idea, by the way, making all these agreements with Emma. That's short-sighted, you shouldn't have done it, it was bad. And Emmeline's like, yeah, fat load of good you were, right? But then, the Vesk, I'm saying it because I'm in the mindset of Edgar right now, so I'm saying it that way. Zora then starts talking to Emmeline, but realises she's a wee bit zoned out, and is like, is he here? And then Hedger says to her, mind speak with the lizard. So Emmeline telepathically communicates with Zora, which lets Hedger in. So Zora sees Hedger. And the first thing Zora does is obviously just punch. And then we kind of ended that with Edgar stopping the punch with his hand, just stopping, grabbing the fist. So
puny little human hand.
But it weirdly showed that Hedger could stop Zora punching him, which is interesting given that he's in her head.
Yeah, hey, I'm in headspace. Okay,
yeah,
this is real.
So that's interesting, and that's kind of where we left them. Now I've saved this part till last because it's Alex's turn to catch up on what he did.
I went to the library.
Yeah, Zigg was with you.
The library.
The library.
It was fascinating.
He lives in Drury Lane.
So yeah, we went to the library, and obviously Zigg disappeared down a hole.
Into a puddle, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Into a puddle. So I did the only logical thing and stuck my head in the puddle. And got oddly transported through time and space. and met the Radiant Supreme before he was the Radiant Supreme, and met his predecessor, Grace.
Do you remember her full title?
Her Grace.
Just her Grace. No.
Grace Lightning.
So
I was
Graceful.
looking for notes. I couldn't find.
yeah. So does everyone know what's the actress's name? She played
Grace Kelly.
Holdo. She played
Sorry.
Holdo.
But her looks
Laura
like a
Dern.
sad.
Laura Dern. Right. Does everyone
Oh,
know?
I know fucking Laura
Right.
Dern.
Laura Dern from Jurassic Park. Right. That's her. Right.
Yes.
It is, yes.
Yep. So
Also see every David Lynch thing ever.
yeah, exactly. Right.
Not quite, but close
But
enough.
like, yeah. So imagine a 7-foot Laura Dern, not far off the truth, and yeah, blondish hair down to like her shoulders, standing there in a kind of like orange, kind of bright, vibrant orange and kind of yellows and golds, kind of dress. She gives off a lot of heat. You kind of stand there and you feel like you're in a kind of cozy, like summer afternoon, and she was introduced by an Asharu who goes by the name of Radiant Supreme. She was introduced as Grace in the Light of the Burning Mother,
Ah, love
It's a
it.
very evangelical name, that.
and
Yes.
she kind of dismisses the introduction and says, "You can call me Grace."
Her Grace.
And he has added her Grace to it. However, yeah, carry on now. Next 5 and
And I was involved in delivering the egg, was it not?
Mhm.
To the vault.
Sealing it.
It's unclear at the moment whether it was some sort of vision or past memory or someone else's memory.
yeah. But
Have I missed anything?
well, to very briefly run Zigg through it, we had Nick step off like the ship that he seemed to be in, walking down. It was that weird familiar sense of, yeah, it's my ship, but also I've never seen this thing before in my life. Walks down the ramp, sees these people, Grace and the Yosharu, the Radiant Supreme, and the Yosharu is like, "Oh, hello, like how was the journey? But is the cargo safe?" You know, in a very kind of watery voice, as you're familiar with Zigg.
Yes.
Good old Radiant Supreme.
Aw.
And
Ah, the best.
this is the head of the order, you know, Grace in the Light of the Burning Mother, and she's like, "Come on now, like Grace, you can call me Grace." And then she hits out with the fact
Cry me, Grace.
she thanks him for handling the delicate matter, basically. And then they all kind of just wait around when this big golden doorway appears, and out of the doorway appears one of the Vault Guardians that's chasing you, Zigg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those big kind of weird golden mechanical glowy men appear,
Yes.
and next to it, a relatively fresh-faced S-Kate Further. God, I'll never say that goddamn name. And she steps out next to the what do you call it, the Vault Guardian, and she's like, "Oh, hello there. I'm the S-Kate assigned to you by Abadar Corp. You know, I'm here to take you to your vault." And then they walk through the portal. They cart the egg with them, and it's a little hover sled thing. And then, Nick's obviously seeing this through the puddle, if you will, with his head stuck in it. You're kind of following through, like, into the weird, again, like when they walk into the vault, it is the weird black like mesh of bio kind of sweaty mechanical walls, much like was described to yourself, the H.R. Geiger walls. And one of the walls forms a door that opens and like peels back, and then the egg is placed inside, and she looks very sad about the whole affair. She says, "Do you remember what she said, Nix, about the fact that she was putting essentially her, kid?"
Oh yes, putting her child away, and that she was very sad about it.
Yeah,
and
it's like no parent should abandon their child type thing.
And the Radiant Supreme was upset that I kept questioning her decision.
Yeah, to the point where he was like trying to shush him, with his weird kind of horribly tentacly hands that he's got. But yeah, so he gets like shushed by the Radiant Supreme, who's taking over from Grace, because Grace is stepping down and he is becoming the Radiant Supreme. Does kind of prove, though, if his vision is indeed true, that SK did meet the Radiant Supreme.
I believe her.
Yep, which she did say at the meeting in the ship with you. There's like, but with that, the egg is put inside, and Grace seals it with like all this kind of like orange light that all kind of crawls through all the doorway and seals it all into a brooch. She takes the brooch off and gives it to the Radiant Supreme and says to take care of it. She can't be trusted with it. Because she's pretty much made it very clear that that's her kid she's locked away, and she feels that this is awful, but Nyx was like, oh, by the way, so why is it bad? And is it basically? And then
it's his usual social grace.
Yeah, and it's like, is it bad? Is this the only option? Why are you doing this? Maybe you are a bad mother. And then and the Radiant Supreme's like, oh my god, no, you can't talk to her that way, oh god, how dare you, dear boy. And that was obviously hush, hush, hush. So yeah, he was hushed out of that vision, if you will.
Please stop talking to the memories.
Yeah, and then I think the kind of lingering shot really for the audience is the fact that the Osharo puts over his neck this little brooch of the sun, and then that's when we crossfade to the brooch of the sun hanging from your neck as you bolt down a corridor, you know, running away from one of these Vault Guardians with like an Edgar like smacking into corridors, blasting rainbow coloured light at it, trying to follow you. And that was like a little flashback that we had for like you to kind of catch you up on that. So yeah, as I said, a wee bit that was important for Zigg to know, you know, just some nice random flashback stuff. But then you were pulled out of the puddle, weren't you, Nyx?
Yes, a query.
Yes. Maybe want to explain a wee bit about that for Zigg?
I then proceeded to try to have a conversation with query. It was an experience.
So do you remember the room that had the desk that said query on it before you put your face in the puddle? The one that was like the weird... Not you, I'm talking to Zigg, sorry.
Yeah.
I know you remember. But yeah, so Zigg...
Yes, I was actually there.
Yeah, you were there, and then you put your head in a puddle, and you were pulled into a puddle. Yeah.
Yes.
And it had like the weird white tree and the white puddle and the white path, etc. Yeah, and then like the strangely white, like in a mirror, lightly, I guess, version.
Strange and oddly normal.
Yeah, in a scanner, brightly, and of... I know, let's just quote the shit out of stuff then, shall we? Badly. Like a weird version of someone a bit uncannily like Nyx, but with like weird platinum stubble and really, really bright white eyes. And that's the thing that you saw as well. You like Zigg saw it and Nyx 5 saw it. And yeah, you can carry on. He introduced himself as Query eventually.
Yes. Then we had a conversation back and forth, and it kind of resulted in him saying that he is me. He is. That we are in some way connected.
I'll be honest with you. I think it was maybe something you could possibly have inferred anyway.
Yep. There was. But you know, we had to pull teeth to get there.
Yeah.
Get the actual words.
Some teeth have got to be pulled.
The back and forth was actually beautiful, I'm not going to lie. Like,
It was
just so painfully beautiful.
the way that only androids can be.
Yeah, that really nice bit of android bants, you know?
Bandroids.
Bandroids, yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of... I think that was the last actual thing we seen, was Nyx being introduced to Query, who says, we are the same. So that's kind of where we ended it. So without further ado, we're done. So goodbye, everybody. No, I'm kidding. It's like a once a week joke, that. And yeah,
very same.
we're gonna focus on something I want to do for admin and upkeep straight away. Is the elevator scene with Hedger. So we open. We've got the shot of just the fist being held. So you've got like a hand holding onto a large Vesk fist as it's slightly shaking. as if you can tell this is obviously taking a bit of force. And yeah, like, does Zora have any initial reactions to? Not really, because I think Zora's impression was, I'm going to punch it because I know I'm just going to hit the elevator. Or were you genuinely expecting to connect with him?
A bit of both. I mean, there's definitely a bit of both. There's a bit of hope. There's a bit of
Okay.
I would actually hit, you
It's
know.
like, well, I'll find out if it's real when I punch it.
Yeah, it's such a Vesk response.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine our fifth player played another Vesk. Anyway, carry on. Yeah, so with that, what is Zora doing now that you, like, I mean, I don't think the majority of you was expecting your fist to be stopped.
Yeah.
You might obviously tell me otherwise, but yeah, what's your reaction to that?
Bit stronger than you look, Edgar.
And then, like, it kind of looks up at you, because he was kind of like paying attention to kind of between you and Emmeline when he was talking, and then you went and punched out, and obviously because he's psychically connected, he knew that was going to happen and puts his hand up to stop it. And he's like, yes, I'm not quite as passive as I think you'd prefer me to be. And he kind of just like narrows his eyes a little, and he's like, besides, and he kind of like, the pressure stops, but like your need to follow through on the punch stops as well. And he's like, now that your posturing is out the way, and he kind of waves his hand vaguely at you, as if get out of the way. He like walks over to the elevator controls and hits the emergency stop button. It doesn't obviously do anything, and he turns around and goes, "Can you press this, please?" And then Emmeline does with like her psychokinetic hand ability. She hits the emergency stop button, and like the elevator stops. The red lighting, like at the rim of the elevator floor and the ceiling, all kind of like just change that red tint. Like no alarm or anything, just switches to red. And he's like, I need Emmeline. And he looks at Zora when he's saying that, and obviously Emmeline's like, what? I don't really want to RP too much of Emmeline's character or Olka's character for Emmeline. And he says, so we'll be seeing you, Zora. I'm pretty sure you've got to go rescue my better half. And he kind of smirks at that in a kind of, oh god, kind of way. You know, like, he's worried for himself in a way. So he's like, yeah, you need to go rescue my better half. Good luck. And he kind of like nods. He's like, after all, you are my second favourite war hero. And he kind of like smirks. Like the elevator doors open, and it leads into like a kind of strange, like kind of almost like a waiting area, like an antechamber. Very well decorated, very corporate looking. And he says to Emmeline, come along, we have to go meet head of personnel. And they got off at the second to highest floor, which is Meng Po's office. And then Emmeline like turns round and kind of looks solemnly at you, and then it kind of does that nod of, you know, I need to do this, I guess. And you nod back to her with the captain. Yeah. Nod. And then she probably does say something to you in the head privately, because like headgear, I should say, disappears, as if she's severed the connection, and you hear her say something to you privately, which I will get back to you on.
Okay.
And then the elevator doors close, and that's the last you see of Emmeline for the time being.
I'll respond, be safe.
Yeah, good. Be safe is good. That is a good thing to say to her. But yeah, and what I'll do is I will actually just ask Olka for those words.
Okay.
Last words. I'm just making myself a wee note here. To Zora, and then be safe.
Fuck the bobo.
I mean,
Probably fist ram the door as like it closes. Probably.
yeah, like as soon as it's done, like clunk, and then like the elevator like starts moving again, and then you end up back in the lobby, etc., etc. And we kind of fade, I think, on the fist. We fade over to Lyko.
Hello.
Hello, indeed. Now, you find yourself in your quarters on the ship.
Sorry, I just
Take a moment if you need it.
it's You know the lyric that came into my head, right? This is not my beautiful wife. No. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in quarters.
Yep. So
God help me.
you're in your quarters on your ship, and you look around, and it's got that that kind of air of nostalgia about it, where you're like, oh, it's like looking at a photo of my old quarters, but it's not my old quarters; it's my current quarters. And then, like you kind of like the camera almost zooms out, if you will, like so we kind of like we move from the tight shot on you further back, and you've got Sindael standing right next to you, kind of super close and like awkwardly in the quarters with you.
Okay.
And then it kind of like leans in and like before it speaks takes in this really uncomfortably deep breath as if it's inhaling you a little. And it's
Lovely.
like, and where are we? And it's kind of like just looking up at the wall in the corners of the room, and it's just almost as if its eyes get lost following the pattern of the grates.
Okay. Lyko sort of looks quizzically at it for a second, goes, "Ha! Didn't think you'd have to ask."
And then it kind of like smirks at you, and that kind of like raising of the mouth, it then keeps going and going and going to that uncomfortably wide smile. And it goes, asking is politer. And it's slowly just like draped an arm over you.
Okay, lovely. Somewhat uncomfortable Lyko. Doesn't respond to that directly. I suppose answers the question instead, just with these are my quarters.
Yes, boring. Let us see more. And kind of like waves at the door.
I move towards the door and
Yeah, so you're now in the
There.
corridor. Like it's that weird dream movement where you're now in the corridor looking back
yeah,
at
just
like
as soon as you decide you've.
yeah, and again, uncomfortably out of the like got the you're standing looking down at the corridor to your room, but facing
in
the
my
canteen,
peripheral.
and in front of you is the canteen area of the ship, the mess hall, and like Sindael kind of like ducks under the doorway and climbs out of it, and then looks around, and is kind of looking at you as if, well, what's the point in this? Like in that kind of, well. And like you can hear things in the background that are like muted voices, but the focus is in that kind of Sindael's in crystal clear, you know, what would be on by this point, like 24K vision, and everything else is in that kind of weird, blurry, abstract until you need it to be more focused.
I'd move towards the voices, I think.
Yeah, and it's like the cockpit and things. So you head up towards the cockpit, and then again, like that weird swoosh moment, like you're in the cockpit, and again, uncomfortably, so is Sindael, like Ryuk from you know,
Yeah.
Death Note hanging over you.
Desu no to!
Uncomfortable there, and you're in the cockpit with Emlyn.
Is this when we were discussing just before SK went all SK on us?
No, this
No?
is you on approach to Baskerville. So yeah, this is
I'll tell Cindy.
Yeah.
Cindy, we're approaching a research station. We were sent on a job here.
it's kind of like nodding, like really enthusiastically, like a bird listening to music, but it's it's not really listening to you.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of in its own wee world, and then it kind of just stops all of a sudden, cocks its head at you like really sharply, and goes, "Where are you going with your?" And then kind of looks at her and like has like an open hand towards her, as if she's out of reach, but he's not moving to touch her or anything. And it's that kind of way where you think maybe you're in like a hologram, so they know not to touch, if that makes sense. And he's looking at it, and being Emlyn, and he's like, "Who is she?"
Colleague.
No, Who? Not what.
Okay, we're being literal. Emmeline Daly.
Yes. And kind of taps you on like the kind of like, well, forehead, I guess, at this point, just uncomfortably with like a couple of fingers, as if anointing you in some way. And then like kind of like turns and like almost is now noticing how cramped it is. Can we get to the station?
I suppose I think of going to the station.
When
Am I there now?
on the station?
Yeah.
No, but when? Is it the docking? Is it after that?
I think it would be as we sort of went into the hallway.
Yeah, so like, yeah, we've got the alarms blaring now, and like maybe it catches you off guard where like all of a sudden there's an alarm blaring. There's like a weird temperature shift from like the ship temperature to the station temperature. You can blurrily see everybody but yourself.
And we would see... Do we see the plasmoid?
You see them. You see what you remember being there. You just don't see you. So anytime like anytime you try and focus on those types of memories, you end up being in them, if that makes sense. But as long as you're not focused on what you did, you get to see everything like third person. Just to be weird and visual.
I would point him to the plasma.
Yeah. Like, so what is that? Like, you point to it and you go, what? Like,
I suppose I would say something sort of mission relevant, I guess. I think, you know, sort of like, this was the first we encountered. First sign something was badly wrong.
yes, this was a person.
Yeah, that was the impression we
Let's
got.
fix that. And like they wave their hands around it, and like this weird, like kind of green that snaps to purple, like spark happens, and it shifts the plasmoid bubble back to a person briefly, as you remember it.
Yeah.
And then they go, ugh, and then just wave their hand, and the person explodes.
Yeah, we didn't really...
Did you meet more of them?
A number, yes.
There.
They were clearly...
And kind of like waves vaguely, in the direction away from you. Do you take him
So
to
he
them?
was... Yeah.
Yeah, and just like that, so we kind of cut to the corridor where obviously like Alice shot a bunch of them up and stuff like that, and yeah, he in turn turns all the plasmoids to people, and then yeah, coincidentally blows them all up because he seems displeased by what he's found, as if this is boring, this isn't what I want, these are just people, broken. Yeah, so like we've got that corridor scene where all the lights are flashing on and off. You've got the weird elevator in the background, Alice standing there with the guns pointing out, you're lying covered in goo, and you're looking up at Cindy, who's looking down disappointed while hanging from those chicken legs. Like, what do?
I gather this isn't what you were hoping for.
Hope is a lie. And then it kind of offers you a hand up.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So like it pulls you up. Like when you stand up, you're not covered in the slosh anymore. You're just there as you were, because you're
More
kind of
pleasant than last time around.
pleasant. And he smiles and just stands staring at you as if that's what you asked for.
There was... Well, I think I know what you would be most interested in here. And then I would sort of just think of being in the containment place with the egg, for
the
want
cocoon,
of a better word.
the big
Yeah,
kind of crystal cocoon
thank
thing.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So is this before you and Emmeline went into the hatches?
Yes, this would be sort of when we first got in.
Yeah. So we've got the scene of the doorway getting lifted by Alice, etc. People coming in, and yeah, like you're there with this like big bone chicken thing. It leans under the doorway, as Alice is holding it up, awkwardly scrapes underneath it, and then looks around the room and goes, "Oh," and you can just like that word fills the room with like a stillness, as if the memory's slowing down, and then like the light coming from the cocoon, this purpley glow within. You now see it as if we've done that filter where everything else has been photoshopped out, and just that has a nice kind of rippling effect to it with the purple, as if waves of energy are now suddenly visible. Like even your like cells, like your weird writhing black energy that kind of keeps you going underneath you, even that seems to like tingle, almost as if it's in sync with its kind of pulsing, which you never ever got the first time. And again, it could be a byproduct of being next to Cindy. It could be just a weird memory thing, you know, like pins and needles or something. But it's a very different experience this time.
Yeah.
And then things start to go blurry, and Cindy like turns to you and goes, "Why?" And then obviously, like for you, like for your like awareness, it's because you left at this point. You went into the hatch.
Yeah.
So, like, as like Cindy asks, like, "Why?" Like as if the vision's getting less clear, you remember you left. So, cut to you climbing a ladder, and then Cindy just looking down at you, like, "Why?" And then picks you up off the ladder and sits you next to it in this horribly cramped corridor, like this access corridor, as this thing's jammed in sideways, and then it waits for the answer.
The place was unstable. We wanted to try and vent this area. I remember this access hatch. I felt at the time something else was there.
You meant to kill what you don't understand. It puts like a hand on your shoulder, but it's like really awkward because of the position Cindy's crammed itself into, versus like how you've just been sat on top of the, you know.
I think that's maybe a little strong. It wasn't that we intended to kill whatever it was. We
He
just
brushes a finger like over your mouth really awkwardly because the finger's like half the length of your face, and it's like,
Okay.
"I don't mean to judge by my words, but intention is important. Did you mean to kill?"
I would sort of put my hand up to move away
Yeah.
the finger. I didn't care what happened to it.
It kind of like stops as if it's never considered not caring. So it sits like you can see its eyes are moving like really quickly, like back and forth, and like its face is kind of just placid at this point, and it's almost like frantically as if like maybe you've seen people in REM sleep like this, and it's like as if trying to process, and it's, you know, you start to see it slightly twitch, like kind of where it hangs from the bone legs as they're crammed awkwardly in this tiny corridor, and then it says, "Yes, let's go back," and it kind of like waves a hand at you.
Wait, when?
It kind of like cocks its head at you as if confused. "To the room," and waves like down towards like the bottom of the ladders.
Yeah, and I'd sort of think of when I returned to the room.
Yeah, and then you just throw Emlyn in a chair, and then look up, and Cindy's like hands go on her shoulders, and it looks up at you. It goes, "That way," as if stop looking at her, look over there.
Okay.
Because this is the part where obviously you'd helped Emlyn into a chair.
Yeah. Not just
Yeah.
decided. There you go.
Yeah. Haha. Ugh. And then
Sorry.
like Cindy
I'm
just
not
seems to
very
like weirdly like leaning on her, creepily, because it seems interested in her as well now.
Yeah, that registered.
And then like all the cocoon nonsense starts to happen at this point, and then like it kind of like pushes you out of the way, like it just like stomps up next to you and just kind of like pushes you aside as if, okay, you've done your bit, let me watch this bit now. And then obviously the entire scene from that episode, as it were. Everybody who hasn't watched it, go back and watch it. It was pretty cool. That all plays out, and it just seems to take it all in. Like its eyes, if we like get that close shot of its like face and we see the side on eyes, you just see it like taking every piece of visual in, and it just seems to grin more and more and more and more. But not even necessarily like it's intentionally smiling. It's just like an almost uncontrollable reaction. That it smiles so widely, and it shows all its weird teeth, and then everything just goes black, and then it just turns to you and goes, "What did you learn?"
Lyko's gonna be a bit stumped by that.
And but do you visually show that you're like, oh god, that's a good question, what did I learn? Or I don't know, like what's
I think his expression would be pretty flat.
Mhm.
You were there, in some sense.
No, we, and like re-gestures to you as if insulted by the solidarity.
But what does that mean for the...
Yes,
I hate temporal anomalies.
yes, now, and then it kind of like gestures, and then like you, like maybe as you're trying to process all this, you start thinking back to all the times things were weird,
Yeah.
and we flash to those moments, like you
Like
being
when
in.
I thought I saw something at the top, I felt
Yes.
something looming, and yeah.
So you flash to like when you're in the canteen and you leave, and then there's a weird shadowy presence watching you. So we get this weird clip show effect at this point where you are trying to process like what have you learned, and then we get the flicker show of click 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 all the scenes where there's been a weird shadows floating
Yeah.
around, to the point where we're in a dark room and there's a small 3.5 foot, possibly 4 foot rat child huddled in a corner.
Oh.
And Sindial actually stopped the scene here. Like it just froze it at this point when you were like going, oh god, all these things that have happened, and Sindial froze the scene here because you weren't even in that room,
Yeah.
but you were on the ship, and you're there, and like you're looking at Zigg hide, and you're like, obviously, Zigg ran away out of the cockpit at that point when you stayed with Emmeline. And like Sindial's kind of looking, and it's like walks like right up close. So you're kind of like at the foot of the hatch for it,
Okay.
and Sindial's just kind of like walking, like just hunched over, leaning, kind of hanging over. Zigg kind of like puts his hand out, and then just like puts its hand on your your shoulder, and then you're kind of like sobbing and whatnot there, and then like this just luminous bright light fills the room from like the entranceway, like blotting you out entirely. Like you just start glowing, Lyko, to the point where you can't see anymore. And then we see from Cindy's point of view, it just put its hand up to kind of block out the light, and then the light just kind of like blasts the whole room, and then you and Cindy are back in the ambassadorial suite, and Cindy just starts blinking, rubbing its eyes, like really normally, like in a really weird kind of starts blinking, and like you kind of fall to the floor at this point. Like you have like no power in like your legs or like your limbs. You just feel kind of numb, as if all of you that makes you except the physical bits were elsewhere, and now you've just been thrown back in at the same second you were ripped out, and it's taken that level of adjustment of, we have rebooted you in a split second, please take some time to come back on. So you hit the deck. You don't go unconscious or anything, you just thud to the floor, and you look up and Cindy's just rubbing its eyes like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I try and force myself back up as soon as I can.
Yeah, and like depending on how quickly you get up, like if Cindy notices, like it'll offer you a hand again to lift you back up. If you seem too out of sorts, Cindy will just pick you up by the scruff and stand you.
I think the question is how quickly should I make a quick roll?
Yeah, why don't we roll some kind of con thing, right?
Yeah, a con save
Yeah,
or
con save. That's a good one, right? Let's see what we get,
save.
and we'll see how quickly you can
What,
self-right.
it's 4, isn't it?
Yeah, fortitude. That's the one in the system. Well,
That's
then,
not the best roll.
no. So maybe Cindy does pick you up, or starts to at least, and maybe that kind of, you look up, you're still a bit dazed and tingly and numb, and all the sensations rushing back to you, so you've got that horrible pins and needles everywhere feeling.
Yeah.
But it's your version of it, so it's probably even weirder. And then being Bri, of course. And then Cindy just kind of picks you up by the scruff and goes to pull you up. So maybe that's you get yourself together, and halfway through that you stand up the rest of your way. And then Cindy
Yep,
kind of
yeah.
just like looks at you and goes, "What did you learn?"
Uh,
And like it's smiling, right? It is smiling.
if anything, I'm more puzzled. Did you need to do this, or did you already know,
It kind of looks at you.
or both?
Like it looks at you, and goes, "I seen what you seen. We seen together." And kind of like at this point, it's like coupled two of its fingers together, implying yous went together.
Yeah.
"I have never seen before, and will never see again." Kind of like waves to one side then to the other vaguely, as if before and after.
I
like see like as you sit there and try and like find words to continue the conversation, like Cindy kind of smiles, and then like the smile like vanishes instantly, even if you're not looking. Like the almost like lighting of the room dulls a little, and it kind of leans right in as if like a dog would to try and like lift your head up, and it's just staring like its weird like kind of face pressed against your nose, and it's deadpan staring, no pun intended, into your eyes, and says, "My turn." And then there's a flash of green, and we
Okay.
cut from you. So moving on.
Don't worry, I'm immune to necrotic damage.
Don't worry, actually, I'm immune to necrotic energy. Guys, do you just want to break, or do you want to just blitz this to 10? What do you want to do?
I'm easy.
I don't mind either
I
way.
don't mind at all.
personally.
Colin?
Like a Sunday morning.
Good, so we'll carry on.
Like a Sunday morning.
Nix, 5. We are with you now.
Yes.
So,
Here we are.
you have a choice right now as a player, more than a character. Is there anything you want to say before I have you walk out of the Lorespire Citadel to query that you desperately want to say, or are you happy to have that be the last moment and you walk out? What do you want? Because if you have stuff you want to ask, we'll stick there, but if not, we'll have you walk out. That's my question for you, because I don't want to just say, "and you walk out," and you go, "Oh, but I had planned all of the 2 weeks that we had off, I had all these questions planned." So, what do you want to do?
I'll be back. No. I think, just, wrapping all the Android cliches.
Yeah.
No, I think that's probably a good place to.
Yeah, so like we have you
To
kind of
wrap.
like, we open with the white light, and then the camera we notice has been slowly panning back the whole time, because then we start to see people come into like the periphery of it, and they're kind of walking out of the light, and some of them walking into the light, and then we just have like this shape appear in the middle of the screen walking towards us, and it's just kind of you looking a bit lost and alone, as if maybe you lost more than you gained by going in there. No Zigg intended. But yeah, so like you walk out, and then you pass by that same android that was like helping you initially, and it's like, "I hope your knowledge finding experience was satisfactory," and kind of like has its hands clasped and slightly kind of gently bows to you.
I'm not sure. But then I think Nick's bows as well.
And like
And
you can see for a moment there's the tiniest flinch of hesitation that only an android might notice in another android, and then it just accepts that it's not going to probe the question because it's not polite to, and it just continues the nod in return for that. And then what do you do? Like,
I think at that point probably con one of the other team members.
who?
Zigg.
Cool, yep, it doesn't
You can
connect.
certainly try, but I do not have a comm device.
Yeah, he
Oh.
he used his comm device.
I
and-
sacrificed
yeah.
it for the conspiracy, Craig.
Yep. So,
Oh, yeah, so you did. Shit.
having
I
known that
believe-
though, like you would
I
know that.
believe I had purchased a second.
But
I
what-
owned
what-
one, and I have one built into my.
Yeah, but whether Zig actually had that
So-
on him is, you know.
Yeah.
Zig, do you want to roll a d20?
Yeah, sure thing.
Just roll a d20 for me. We'll say 15 or higher. Zig has it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is purely for the records, so make sure people note this down.
Let me check that.
Oh no, not 2d20. Ah! Ah! Oh no! Ah! Shit! Flash roll.
Well,
I can't remember how this works.
/r
shit
space
indeed.
1d20.
Oh shit!
What? What?
0.5 of what? One divided
Rolling
what?
on 20.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so
How
let's-
is that
let's
possible?
let's ground ourselves again and /r space 1d20.
R space 1. 1d.
Cool. You definitely don't have the comm device.
How did you slash instead of D? That's a skill.
So like keep focus, guys. Here's the scene. Next, you do indeed comm Zig, because you know, as a smart android engineer, you gave Zig another comm. But then Zig's been crawling all over you, and probably doesn't like if it's not in his cheeks, he doesn't care about it. So
Yep.
you comm, and then your pocket rings.
I pull out the other com.
Yep. It's for Zig.
Hmm.
That was perfect.
That's what getting a 0.05 on a fucking D20 world gets you.
What did
Wonderful.
I do?
At this point,
Mhm.
Nick's is probably feeling grateful because it is actually the pimped out com that is also
Yeah.
a computer.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
probably best not to give it to Zig.
Mhm. So fortuitous, right? Fortuitous, all in all.
Yeah, there's minor blessings.
Yeah.
Probably then come into Lyko because he was the last one we were with.
Okay.
Oh, now where does this happen in the timeline?
Yeah, indeed. So
Rookie time.
the happily, like, depending on what you want to do conversationally, this can be before Lyko got into the initial mind meld with Sindile. But it really depends on what you're up to.
What are you gonna ask? Yeah.
So
Um,
let's just say it is before that, right? And then we'll let Lyko cut you off in as much of a Lyko way as he wants if he doesn't want certain things to develop past that point in the timeline. So yeah,
Yep.
you comm Lyko, your comm rings. This is when you're. Remember, I told you you were killing a couple hours.
Yeah.
Just in that awkward way that this thing's just doing its own thing before you really engage in conversation. So your comm goes, and you kind of like go to the corner of the room, so it's a wee bit more private and less disrespectful to answer your comm.
I will. Because I'm sort of in a more officious mode. I will answer with Quint.
Lyko, have you had any luck finding your contact?
Camera lingers on this thing shuffling in the background with its big bone legs.
Yes, but also no. I mean, I found her, but it wasn't what I would describe as lucky. How is the situation with yourself and our young friend?
Well, I'm fine. I've misplayed Zig, but he can't have got far.
No, I think you can probably get pretty far.
I'll ask one of the stewards. Or
Where did you
attendants.
misplace? Where did you misplace him?
When did you misplace him?
We're at the Law Spire. We went looking for information, and he.
Cue the distasteful reaction shot to Lyko, going, ugh.
I'm sure they probably have some sort of inbuilt security.
I mean that's what worries me. So Mm-hmm. Just let me know if you find him.
I'm unlikely to. I've been deputized. I have to.
Is that a good idea?
It wasn't. It wasn't mine, but it's an idea.
I mean, you don't seem to have much luck with this, Druids.
Cue the background shot of Sindael pulling a cushion apart.
Look, I don't hold any ill will. They are. We still have a relationship, but so far this has not been particularly. It's a babysitting job in a sense.
Sindael putting feathers from the cushion into its own feather mane.
I'll explain more later. I'm very tired.
Are you in need of assistance?
I think it would be best that I not involve any of the crew in this, if possible.
Very well.
If you hear anything about an invasion, don't worry. It wasn't an invasion.
Cue the same response from like Nix 5 that usually involves calming Lyko. At least there's no club music this time.
The slowly blinking LEDs continue.
Yep.
And affirmative.
It's all. Thus far, it's been quite amicable.
I guess that's something. I shall find our friend. And
call me at some point.
click off.
Yeah, just click. I like that you're still holding both comm units in your hand, and you kind of just look between the two, like, okay, well that was productive. Yeah. So what does Nix 5 do with that?
Turn back round to the android.
Yep.
And just, have you seen a young Yosoki?
And then it kind of looks at you, and then says, I have indeed, in fact, earlier today, with you. And it puts
Yes.
both hands open to you.
Did he leave before me?
Did he leave before you? I have not seen him since he entered. And then waves vaguely at the light behind him.
Can you check whether he's still inside?
Has he left?
I haven't seen him leave.
And neither have I. And he kind of like touches his chest, kind of like monk-esque. And then kind of, I am sorry, however, our privacy to our patrons is paramount. This is a elite knowledge-seeking experience.
Yes, that's what concerns me. I fear his presence may disrupt.
And then he looks kind of like sorry, but it's not the, oh no, that's terrible, it's the, sorry, I don't know if I can help you look that most retail staff give people that are being difficult. And he kind of looks kind of like, are you dissatisfied with your knowledge-seeking experience?
It's not the knowledge seeking, it's the Yosoki seeking that's dissatisfying.
You're free to re-enter, you have the full day's access. And then kind of waves back at the light.
You could always go for the full body experience. I mean,
Just where I want to go back in.
Yeah, right. What would you even find if you go back in, right?
There's only one way to find out.
Well, what do you do?
Watch back in.
Yeah, cool. You walk back into the light?
Yep.
Cool. Zora. You're up.
yes.
So, the elevator dings, and you're in the lobby.
Okay.
You walk out. You see Neo
Yes.
and Trinity running towards you with a big duffel bag. No, I'm kidding on.
was good. Random but good.
Yeah, I know, such a 1990s joke.
Duffel bag screams.
Yeah, it does. Zigg. But no, so you walk into the lobby, and then, yeah, you're just in the lobby of the Aspis Consortium building.
I would probably just leave post haste.
Yeah, so like
Because
you pass the security
this-
desk, you head out to the main kind of like, excuse me, like the doorway out into the plaza, and then you get into the plaza and you notice that it's not as what's the word, corporate elite as it usually looks, or bustling, like, you know, like the rich part of town vibe that you get from this place. There's just
Yeah.
loads of security now, everywhere.
Okay.
Like
Um,
none of them stewards in this part of town. This is all private military. In this, like, you can clearly see the Aspis Consortium, like, mercenary forces that are actually Aspis branded. You can tell how high their AC is because it says AC on their armor, and I know, terrible, I know, but as we all cringily laugh
Or
at
maybe
RP
they're
jokes.
from Mars.
Maybe, maybe indeed, but there's no invasion, as you said, unless you're a liar, which is, well, anyway. So yeah, you see like all these kind of military personnel everywhere, like to the point where it doesn't make you uncomfortable, but it should. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be uncomfortable because you're you, but any normal person would be uncomfortable here, which is why there isn't really normal
Yeah.
people here anymore. Like inside Aspis, it still seemed business as usual, but outside it's like a small fortress now. And when you step out of the Aspis grounds, you, like, as I said, throughout the plaza, there's just all of the corporation's personal security, shall we say, are in place. Yeah, there's not as much like air traffic, as it were, floating around here either. Everything is a bit more tight. And when you get to like any official checkpoints or whatever, there are like steward personnel there, which is like the station security.
right.
So what do you do? Where'd you go? Did you calm anyone?
I will calm. This is exactly what I'm going to do.
Who would you calm first? Because you know Emmeline's
Who would
busy,
I
right?
call?
And Emmeline being like your closest in the crew, you know she's gone at this point.
Right.
So
Okay.
you've just signed up to start a war. Who do you phone?
Lyko.
Choice, I can't guess.
Oh no.
So I think what happens is you step out into that scene and you kind of just slowly pick up your comm and like bring it up to like start dialing Lyko's number, and then Lyko, you hang up, like, or your call is cut off from next 5, right? And then you kind of turn round and you just still see Sindael putting these feathers randomly over its own feather mane that it's got, and then your comm starts ringing, and it's your captain.
I look at it for like a second too long, and then activate it. Quint.
So there's a lot of security about.
Yeah. I was hoping the message would have been passed along. Although I guess I didn't really tell all of it. So it's not an invasion.
An invasion?
No invasion. No invasion. But the fleet of Eox turned up unexpectedly. We have taken on board a number of. I think for a second, and then I've sort of probably come to the conclusion that I'm not entirely sure if Esk would know the terminology. And so maybe I go, Eoxian leaders have come on board, and I have been firstly deputized in the expectation of a potential conflict, and afterwards have been pressed into impromptu ambassadorial duties.
Sorry,
My
cue like
character
Zora.
would
Yeah.
absolutely sniggle at this. Oh,
I mean, these are
Pastorio
literally
cheese.
he's reading your bio, right?
Yes, it really is.
I told Nix 5 I'm babysitting a bone sage. I don't know if you know the bone sages.
Please
They
roll
are-
culture for me just now, Zora. Right? I want to see how much you know
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
that's a good idea.
Just write Eox and then roll culture for me.
Eox slash. Oh, it's not a slash roll anything. It's why can't you roll do that? Just slash roll culture or something. Like
Because
I,
clicking
it's
the
cool.
button is, a thing.
I know, but like I'm lazy.
Yeah. He says Bone Sage, and instantly your mind flashes back to a conflict with the Orcs. The Vesk have tried to attack the entire Pact Worlds, right, in the past, and
Yeah.
like the Obsidian Star group were sent in because of the threat of the Eoxian Bone Sages, and you were there as well. One of your earlier assignments was on Eox, and you were with your commander. And as I said, it was the Obsidian Star group that was sent in, and he obviously was like, a comet going from A to B, trying to like trash the place. But one Bone Sage with his army, or its army, was enough to just be like, no, go away, and essentially swat the flies that bugged them. Like to the point where like the Bone Sage didn't even seem to notice like the Vesk like Solarian order, like the Obsidian Star, which are quite formidable, especially like their top tier veterans are crazy good, like the fact that they can like bend space and crush normal people. Like half the Eoxian like armies under the control of said Bone Sage could have been like crushed just purely by the force of your commander himself, right? Or herself, I can't remember what we decided for them. But like your commander basically could just be like, cool, gravity crush, and half the army are pinned to the ground while slowly like being broken. Because against a bunch of undead, like especially shambly undead that aren't necessarily as robust as more robust undead, then yeah, it's a fairly easy scene like you flash back on. But then a Bone Sage is like probably scarier than a dragon to you.
Cool.
So there's a bit of scale for you, and you's basically got the fuck out of Dodge as soon as that stepped in to clean up the mess that was it losing its dead. It also like rebuilt the people that you had killed, even out of other parts of each other. Like it wasn't necessarily the same people that came back. It was just what happened was undone, and it was like that was a setback, an inconvenience to me having to wave my hand over this pile of people. So yeah, the idea of, I mean, if you wanted a cool shot of someone like going Super Saiyan and blasting at one of the Vesk, kind of, not your commander as such, but like maybe his lieutenant, or your commander's lieutenant, if we make her female, whatever, like goes full on solar blast and shoots towards them like a big solar streak, and like the Bone Sage just stops them with their hand. To the point
I
where it's
survived
like,
that, guys.
and like smacked to the ground.
One and all.
Like, smacked to the ground. This like,
Champion.
and then the light all of a sudden just snuffed out by this Bone Sage, as it just kind of looks up and then waves its hand over other people, and then like pulls bones out of the Vesk to rebuild more people. In this horrible scene as it buckling through the armor. So, yeah, that's something you never want to deal with again.
Okay.
Now cue the conversation where Lyko was told, there were lots of us and now there's 8. Yeah. So flashback to the conversation. Bone Sage.
On our ship.
Station, I think.
Well, on the station.
On the station.
Now do you see there's 8?
There are 8.
There's what?
8 of them.
Ah.
Now do you tell
Good.
him there's only 8 left?
I will I will actually give that piece of information, and I guess half turn away and say it more quietly. Ketan, he's informed me that there are only 8 remaining.
And you know the numbers are much greater than that. Yeah, they were the exact number I mentioned last time we were recorded, and yeah,
He's
I can't remember if that was 149 I said, or if there was 49, but it was one of those numbers.
they're fleeing something.
Did the swarm attack their planet?
We would have heard by now if the swarm were that active.
Yeah, because I mean,
It's something-
it would have got past like a whole bunch of systems to have got to like Eox. Do you know what I mean?
It's something that has been able to fly under the radar, and that concerns me, but right now, that's far beyond our scope.
Have you got any idea what a bone sage can do? I'd be like, probably chattering at this point.
Yeah, maybe this is the first time. Do you know roll sense motive, Colin? And
Yeah,
this
certainly.
is on Zora to see if you actually can tell that Zora
So
is.
what am I writing? Oh, sorry, I didn't write. Let
Type
me write.
in I don't know, Zora.
Zora. Do you want that to stand, or should I reroll?
No, roll now.
My God, how did I manage to get that roll?
No, like I don't like. Maybe you just I don't know. Like, do you want to explain that result, Zora? Like, what would Lyko likely pick up from your tone, given that he only got 12?
He's probably never heard of me like talk of somebody like another race like that before. Like I would probably down talk quite a lot of races, quite frankly. Like it's like, but yeah, if it sounds like I'm bigging up something, that's probably a reason.
Okay. I suppose Lyko would.
You don't get the fear thing though. You don't get
Yeah.
the sense that
No.
the captain's never afraid of anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I would. And I don't think Lyko does know the scale of their power.
yeah. No,
Nothing in his
you don't.
backstory indicates.
No, you don't have
knows-
You've never witnessed one ever.
He knows that they're like the top of the necromancer food chain, right?
Yeah, but you know you've never been able to get like even if you let's say you tried to get a meeting for whatever reason,
Yeah.
not that you necessarily would have, but if you did have, you'd never have got one. Put it that
Yeah.
way. They ignore official meetings at the highest level of government in the pack world, so they're not going to give a random a meeting. They will eventually, if they get annoyed enough, turn up to a fight that's killing their resources, like what he experienced, Zora. But yeah, it's not something you'd have to deal with a lot because they were the first people to sign the Pact World Agreement, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on their world. I haven't encountered any of them directly. I'm aware of what they are and their function as the essentially puppeteers of their society. At the moment, though, I don't have any. I don't know what's happened to cause this, so I'm not going to speculate. That said, obviously, I'm quite concerned, and I am. I'll report back to you with anything. Don't worry too much. I have some experience with necromancers.
Just be careful. Take it from me. They're pretty monstrous.
I think maybe you look back while you're on the comm. You look back just to check Sindael, and like Sindael is like looking at itself in like the reflection that it's made like a shimmering field that it's looking at, like mist, and it's looking at it, and it sees you looking at it through the mirror, and it just smiles that really big horrible grin, like the Pan's Labyrinth grin, and then goes back to like pruning itself, and then you go back to your comm.
I would just go. Yeah, I got that.
Like, I love the juxtaposition though, right, just to jump in here. I love the scene of Zora's flashback to absolute like carnage versus Lyko's babysitting job.
Just before I go off, Captain, when I spoke with Nix, he was having trouble locating our young Zigg.
I probably sigh deeply. It's like, that's two down.
2 down, Captain.
I'll fill you in later.
You know, I would probe that, but I think I'm kind of distracted at the moment, so I
Yeah.
won't.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think I like the
that's,
idea that you're like, yeah, 2 down, sure.
I'll check in when this is all resolved.
Where was Nick's last located?
For you, heading off with Lyko.
No, I'm a good Lyko if he knows. Well,
okay.
Oh Christ, what was the name? The knowledge.
The Lore Spire Citadel.
Lore Spire. There we go. They were researching in the Lore Spire.
Okay. Well, good luck with your ambassadorial duties. They'll probably snigger.
Yeah,
Like-
good luck with. Where...
Is it weird that I just hear like Zora snigger as Muttley though? That's all I hear. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I was going to say one thing. I'll change it to something differently. It's like,
Mhm.
good luck with Aspis, and then I would just hang up, and then as soon as I had, it would go. He's probably already. But then I just decided not to call him back.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Right. Zigg.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are we?
So, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
You're currently running through a corridor, full pelt. It's very dark, very sweaty, very uncomfortable. You've been running for some time. You're not really sure what that time is, but it's some. Like Edgar is fairly close behind you, but he's doing his best to like delay the what do you call it? Like the big vault guardian that's following you.
Uh-huh.
And every now and then the corridor just like the reason why you're seeing so well, because even in this weird sweaty dark place, like your vision's good, but like every now and then flashes of this colour come from behind you, and it's like this
Right.
screeching of like light blasts soaring behind you and the wave of heat behind you, and you know it's Edgar doing what he can to like blast this thing, and every now and then you just get like a kind of like a kind of head start on this thing. Yeah, he's asking, like he leans over to you and he's like, and like, you know, glow, basically, as if you're like feeding him with your light for the both of you, while he's trying to delay this thing as it's just weirdly like, you know, T1000ing its way after you guys down this weird HR Geiger corridor. Yeah, the 90s want their horror movies back. But yeah, like so you're kind of there. You're like edging on exhaustion at this point. Just of the sheer confusion. Like even being pulled into that room in the first place was like bizarre enough. Like physically, I mean,
Yeah.
on you. Like to the point where it just feels like you've, you know, like when you don't really sleep well and you wake up and you feel like you've aged 10 years. You know.
Yeah, you feel very displaced and like.
Yeah, and it's literally like the feeling you've got when you were pulled through that liquid in the first place. To the point where like he looked a mess, if you remember, and then as soon as you like were casting a light and he was like pulling it into himself, he was like fixing the cosmetic problems, if you will. But yeah, he kind of turns to her and he goes, "Where are we going?" Like as like maybe you stop glowing at this point and the light fades and he stops kind of like almost inhaling it, and like the kind of the glow fades, like the weird rainbow effect in his eyes dissipates as you like your eyes adjust to the dark again, and he says that to you. He's like, "Where are you running to?"
I think like Zigg would probably just like start to say something as if he like obvious where he's going, and then stop a minute and you'd go like, "What?"
Yeah, like you felt like you
And then
were
kind
about
of-
to say something, but I was like, I actually don't have an answer for that.
Yes. And then you know to kind of do that double take of realizing that there's this destination in his head while he was running,
Mhm.
but that destination doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
Um,
Good. And then like you kind of see Edgar like narrow his mouth and then that kind of thinking kind of as if we need a plan type look that people get in action movies. And then he kind of looks down the corridor, and like you can hear the scraping metal in the distance, and he's like, the thing's repairing itself too quickly. He's like, he kind of like looks at his hands, and like they kind of like shimmer a little in the dark, and then he kind of looks back up at you and he says, seems I'm not quite on my A game today. And he kind of like tries to like smile and smirk at you, and that kind of, it's not all dark and grim and life threatening, but you can
Zigg
see
would do that really uncomfortable smile back, going, "Huh."
and especially as like a kind of like a little 3-foot rat man as well, like
Yes.
oh. With stuff in your cheeks, right? So yeah, and I think like Edgar notices that, like he's just looking at you as if I did my bit, right? He's because he wants to get out of this, and he's clearly seen that you are his way out. Because if you remember back when he pulled you through, he's like, "Good, where's the Vesk?" And then you're like, "It's me, hello." And he's like, "Oh dear God, I'm gonna die here."
This is it. I'm gonna die here alone
And
with this tiny little rat child.
And then you were like, "How
Maybe
dare
got the
you!"
more capable one.
Yeah. And then like you just like start to glow out of like your kind of attention seeking way, going, "How dare you!" And then he's like, "Oh my God, this is brilliant! Give me more of this. You were the best one." But yeah, like, and like you just spent like ages, and I mean like potentially hours and hours, maybe even days, depending on like your kind of scope of time, like trying to work out, like just running through endless weird biomechanical corridors that don't really seem to have any kind of, it's not like straight corners or even just like curves in certain ways. Like if you had to sit and think about it or like try and draw the route you took, there's no way in hell it makes sense. Like the corridors just seem to be there. So it is like a really weird, horrible, uncomfortably humid, sweaty environment to be in that doesn't really promote mapping. But he kind of looks at you, and then he goes, "I guess we keep moving. There must be a way out of here."
How did you get here?
He kind of looks at you, and he's like, "How we get out is more important. Wouldn't you agree?" And he kind of puts a hand on your shoulder. And like he grips it, like his thumb does that thing where it kind of presses into you a little, in that kind of attempt at reassuring someone, physically. It's a very well practiced. If Zigg was in any mindset to pay attention to it, it would seem quite rehearsed. If that made sense.
I don't think he'd notice though. He's
Yeah.
kind of too just exhausted and stressed out.
Yeah, and then he, as I said, like he kind of like stands up after the both of you were kind of crouched down as you were kind of like recharging him, and he says, "Let's go." And then he actually just kind of like he takes in, like it gets to the point where he takes a couple of steps past you and stops and then turns back, and like you're still kind of sat there, kind of like almost maybe panting, because obviously again it is taxing what you're doing as well. Like, you're trying to keep ahead of him while then stop and then like you're expending your energies by trying to charge him. I know mechanically there's no cost to it, but like physically there'd be a toll on you.
No,
And
for sure.
He then he looks at you and kind of goes, and he picks you up and puts you on his back. So he kind of like has you on his back, a bit like a backpack, a Zigg pack, and then he just says, "Hold on," and then he just like starts like, bolting down the corridor as fast as he can, which is like a normal sprint, if that makes
I
sense.
still kind of definitely overgrip.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
And he is gunning it. I mean, he's running as fast as he can. So this is like almost Olympic style sprinting that you're witnessing here as he kind of bolts down the corridor, and it just seems to be a blur. The corridors are blurry. And then like he kind of like again like does that thing where he kind of skites to a stop and smacks into a wall, and you both kind of like end up landing against one of the horrible walls. And like the only time he's ever really stop is when the scraping sound stops. And he kind of like lies there, and like these are both kind of in that kind of dishevelled state on the ground. And then he kind of like starts prodding you to get a reaction from you.
I think I think it kind of be slightly dazed in that sort of way that, you know, when someone prods you when you're kind of sleeping, you kind of just like subconsciously bat their hand away like mindlessly.
And that's enough. Like as soon as like you do any kind of reaction that he can gauge, like when you start to like touch his hand to like push it away and stuff, like he stops, and his hand kind of just collapses next to yours, and you just hear like his breath when you can hear past your own heartbeat, you hear his breath, and he kind of turns to you and goes, "You don't perhaps have a vault here, do you?" He says, almost half joking to himself. Well, do you have an account with the Bank of Abadar?
I mean, I must do, right? It's the bank.
So
Roll for bank.
no, it's more a case of, do you have anything in it? Like, do you pay for vault space? Do you, like, everybody's got like, well, people have a bank account, right? But that's digital. So
Yes.
do you have anything physical stored anywhere?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, do you?
I mean, do I?
I mean, you tell me. Do you have anything you have stored in a vault?
See, now I'm trying to think if I have anything stored in a vault.
And that's because that's why I asked you. Do you have anything stored in a vault? Don't worry,
What
Nick.
about your shinies? What do you do with all your shinies? I mean, you do get a lot of shinies.
I do get
He
a lot
builds
of shinies.
backpacks out of them that function once. That's what he
Yes,
does.
it's true. The problem is, like, Zigg's the kind of person, he hoards loads of shiny things, but he also loses them as quickly as he gains them. So
Okay.
he has this perpetual, like, stash of shiny things that never seems to grow, even though it seems to deplete
Yeah.
at a similar rate. So I don't think he'd have like a vote for that.
It's kind of the minimum wage problem, right? It's you work all the time and get paid every month, but you never seem to have more money.
Yeah.
It's that problem that Zigg seems to have. And whether that's just absent-mindedness, losing things, maybe there's a part of the ship where all these little shiny things have just like congregated because of the way the ship tilts. Like, who knows if they've all rolled into one random vent full of stuff that when Zigg finds he'll have the best day of his life. Or when like the ship needs to not have all this crap clogging up one of the engine intakes, you know, who knows what'll happen. Feed the assembly ooze stuff, you know, who knows. But yeah, so
But yeah, he probably doesn't have
yes, like maybe no personal vault then, if not just an
personal
account.
vault space.
Yeah, and like what's your reply in that form then to Edgar when he kind of like half jokingly says, "You don't happen to have a vault here, do you?"
And he scratches like chin and be like,
Yeah,
No.
maybe like as you do, like you push up to like a sitting position in a way, with that kind of no.
yeah.
And Edgar's still kind of lying flat out in his back. He's like, shame. A focal point might have given us a direction.
I think he'll scratch his ear at that.
And then he's kind of just patting there. And he's like, right, if we stay here until we hear the Guardian, we can at least move away from the Guardian. However, I don't hear it. Do you?
I listen.
Do you want to roll perception?
Yep.
Just write VG if you have to. For Vault Guardian. Vault Percept! Sindai is there, like, oh hello!
Perception.
Or as Colin would say, hello!
Hello.
I wish I could do that voice because Sindai would have had that voice. Yeah, like you don't hear it. You only really, you kind of like, if you listen hard enough, you could hear his heartbeat and your heartbeat. Like, yeah, it's not good. And
Yeah.
almost as
just
if the
shake his
breathing
head.
of the walls as well, like a kind of weird, like
Oh.
like could be an undercurrent of vents or whatever. But yeah, just weirdly biological. and creepy.
Yeah, I think that would kind of feel very on edge about that. But he would just shake his head and not say anything.
And like, I think with that, like, he looks a bit relieved at that as well, and he's like, "Good. If we move," and he kind of like he smirks to himself a bit. You can kind of see he's kind of like almost about to laugh because he's kind of struggling, and that kind of weird high on your own laughter thing. He's like, "Oh, your own exhaustion, I should say." And he's like, "We might end up running right into it if we move just now." And he kind of says that like kind of almost defeatedly, as if when you don't know where it is, moving is a danger. And he kind of like pushes himself up against the wall as well, so he's sitting up, and he's like, "This is horrible."
I think Zigg would kind of sigh and slouch, kind of leaning almost into the side of him.
Mm-hmm.
And just he wouldn't really say anything. He'd just be like,
Yeah, but you've kind of like almost sidled up to him a bit like the Drax and like Rocket scene in a way.
Yes.
And like it puts like a hand on your shoulder, but then like stands up. So it's almost like a combination of comforting you but propping himself up. And he stands up and he puts a hand down to lift you up.
I just take his hand.
Yeah, and he just pulls you to your feet like, you know, a stubborn mother would to a child. And he stands you up on your feet and kind of like does that thing where he kind of like grabs your robes a little bit and kind of like straightens them as they're a bit ruffled from when he's collapsed into the wall. And he kind of looks at you and he's like, "We've got this, right?" And he kind of just like combination of reassuring you, looking for reassurance or reassurance, I should say.
I think he'd take like a moment, kind of cock my head to one side, and just take like, you know, that beat. Look at him, kind of squinting one eye, and just go, sure.
I can work with sure.
And look,
yeah, that's his reply. Like, I can work with sure.
yeah.
Like, he kind of stops and he looks down at like the weird, like there's like 5 corridors that you can look and you can see leading off in different directions. And for some bizarre reason, like you only thought you'd landed in like an L-shaped corridor. But no, like apparently there's 5. And it's kind of like the place reflecting his indecision in a way. And he looks around and he just stands for like maybe like 50 seconds, just weirdly quiet after he says, "I can work with sure." Looks at all the corridors really slowly and then goes, "This way." And then like runs down the corridor, but like in a kind of jog that you can keep up with if you like kind of run fast with him. You start to like run down the corridor quite a bit.
Definitely like on all fours at this point. So
yeah, like you're pelting it to kind of keep up with his kind of jog because his jog's fairly swift. And he's getting to the point where you start to hear voices. So he like stops and like kind of grabs you by the scruff of the neck. He leans down and grabs you, so like you kind of like almost keep running midair. And he lifts you up, and he's just holding you as he's got his back against the wall, up against the like a corner of the corridor. And he looks at you as if like, what the fuck, voices? He doesn't say that. It's just the look he's got. You possibly returned a similar confused look. And then
I give him Zigg expression.
Yeah, and I just like, oh god, why am I here?
Yes.
And then he kind of sits you down and puts his hand against like your chest to kind of like prop you against the wall a little. And then he stops and he listens. And what languages do you speak, Zigg?
I will tell you right now. I speak Yusoki, obviously, Spawman, and Castrovilian. But that's very choppy.
That's okay. So you don't pick up the voices, but can you roll culture for me?
I'm sure I can.
And I want you to write memory. Memory.
Memory. Where is? I was looking. Oh man, I was trying to read memory in my
I was trying
skills.
to read memory.
I was like,
You're not Emily.
I can't find my memory skill. Where is it? What was it? Culture? Did you say?
It was culture, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I am so tired. There we go.
Yeah, like I think like Zigg is too gone to kind of piece this together.
Zigg and Calum both. Jeez.
And then like Edgar like kind of like crouches down, and then kind of like turns to you and says really really quietly, he's like, "That's a dark elf dialect."
I think Zigg would shudder.
And then just as that is said, you hear, "And what do we have here?" And Zigg looks up, and Edgar looks up. So we have that shot of both of you kind of dart your heads up to the camera as it then switches perspective. You've got that light bleed behind the figure silhouetting them, and then the light dies out as your eyes adjust to it. And it's the matriarch that you saw back in the like the Temple of the Sun, as it were. The monastery, the solar monastery.
Okay.
So we cut from you there with the wonderful Drow Queen.
Right, okay.
We head
She's
all
gonna-
the way back to Mr. Nix 5.
Nick's gonna give it to you.
I was going to do more there, but I'm not going to. So anyway, yeah, so Nix 5.
Yes.
You walk into the light. You
Landed
end up in what looks like a big archive room. Just rows and rows of like white filing cabinets, if you will. But like by filing cabinets, I mean actual filing boxes on shelves, if that makes sense. Not old-fashioned filing cabinets.
Like in police evidence storage.
Yeah, exactly like
Yes.
a police evidence storage. Exactly. So you have like rows of those, and yeah, you step in, and then it's almost as if these things just suddenly appear and like zoom off into the distance.
Is anyone else around?
No, like there's not the desk that says query. There's not the weird like park scene with the pond and the tree, or the path.
Park life.
Yep, no park life.
I think next I would just call out.
What do you say? Sorry, and it cut out.
Just query.
And then you hear like a kind of, what's the word, like a muted ping sound, like dong. And then there's like in front of you, there's like a cyan light of just a line in front of you. Do you say anything? Do you make any noises? Do you do anything else?
Yep. Just Where is Zigg?
And then that sound wave appears in front of you from the cyan light,
Mhm.
from the line itself, and then you hear the kind of like zoom noise, the zoom noise, of course, and says, "I'm sorry, can you please restate the query?"
Where is the Yosoki that entered with me previously?
"I'm sorry, can you please restate the query?" And like you can see that like all these other windows have kind of appeared around the kind of like a voice box, as it were, like this weird line of the oscilloscope thing, and all these other queries are like searching for references to Zigg. It obviously brings up Vesk word for medkit, various things like that, and like it's bringing up every instance of that word. So every time you're saying that, like in all the phrases and what's a Zigg, where's a Zigg, how's a Zigg, why's a Zigg, like it starts like pouring through all of these kind of potential answers, but nothing's been centralized. It's just on the periphery, as if I'm thinking, here are my options, narrow it down for me, and then it's just saying, its default statement.
Where is query?
And the line just stops, and like all of the searches freeze on the page like they're on, and then everything, like all the windows slowly close one after another,
Oh dear.
and then the room goes dark, like as if the generator powered overhead of economy lighting just gets switched off by one big lever, like ka-choom.
The warehouse drops off.
You still know you're in a room, a space, that you still have that weird ESP sense of like, there is still space, around you. Like if you had to feel your way around in the dark, because you can't see it, despite your vision.
That's
But
concerning.
you would know if you walked forward, you'd hit one of those cabinets, right? Like you still have that sense of perception, the spatial awareness, I guess, is the best way to put that. And then the lights come back on, and that kind of blinking, clinking noise that bulbs make that don't exist. And then in front of you, Alice in the hologram form. And she goes, hi, and waves.
Alice.
But no, that's when we cut. So I'm good here, just so you know.
Yep.
That's going to be our session. Yep. Good luck, guys. As I said, we're going to end chapter 3 here. We're going to then look for a 5th player. Maybe do a wee time skip. Move people forward a little bit. Give us room for some...
the mind slip!
We're going to do some flashbacks when we decide where our chapter 4 and level 4 selves take us. Oh yes, we are officially leveling up for chapter 4. And yeah, we'll do some retroactive work in chapter 4. Not that I haven't done that already. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It was obviously a bit of a pursed ending when it came to losing Olka so unexpectedly. But we also, again, for those of you who are just tuning in, Olka isn't dead. She's just schedule conflicts and no longer can play with us, unfortunately. So rip Emmeline, who's now Emma's friend. And on the 2nd floor now. So, guys, why don't we do a wee review? Let's start with Zigg.
Oh, hi. Man. Man. For... That's it. That's all I've got.
Take it away, Zora. We'll give Zigg some time to think about it.
I enjoy. I especially liked how Nix just went head first back into the light. Good one. That's a good choice.
I mean, yeah, it's his buddy, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm happy with it. It's good. It's good. God, I don't know. I mean, it was overall enjoyable. Very info heavy.
I know. I'm bad for
most
that
part.
now.
It's good. I enjoyed your info, Ryan.
Thank you.
I enjoyed your info.
I'm glad.
Enjoyed this.
Inspired by you guys. And Emlyn. Hashtag Olka was precious.
It was precious. No longer.
Who's going to be really, really antagonistic towards Alice now? Who?
It's actually true. It's actually
Lyko,
true.
step up.
Nah, he thought she was kind of cute from memory. So
I enjoyed the dream scene with Lyko as well. It was pretty good fun. Good
Oh,
fun.
that was actually excellent.
Yeah, that was
Just kind of come
pretty
true.
good.
well, his
Memory.
weird time step. Yeah,
Yes.
his time
But
step,
it's the
memory
pelvic
step.
thrust
Yeah.
that really drives you insane.
To be fair, I could see Cinderella performing in that. Yeah.
I can see CAD films.
Yeah, no. Focusing more on Zora. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I'll let others add more on.
Cool. Zigg, are you back up with us or?
Yeah, no, I loved my dice rolls, to be honest.
Yeah, we're good.
I really did. I loved how just the whole scene of Nyx going, I'll just call him Zigg. And
Phone's
Yeah.
pocket.
that was excellent. All of Lyko, just all that stuff was just
Oh, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Being calmed constantly was just really nice.
It's like, you have your phone on you the whole day, and then all of a sudden everybody phones you at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was better to have that, I think, than just have Lyko out of contact as well, because then Zora would be phoning everybody being like, I don't have any friends actually, where is everybody? And it's more interesting to have the catch-up kind of intermittent scenes, even if the timeline is janked to fuck. But that's what you get with a game like me. The thing I really enjoyed, to be honest, was having Lyko experience things Colin as a player was aware of,
Yes.
but then having Lyko see them giving Colin extra pieces of the puzzle. To be like, some of those shadowy things we saw might not have been just as weird as I thought they would have been. You know? I enjoyed that, but that was nice to tell that bit of story finally. Yeah. Long time in the making. Anything else, Zigg?
No, I just really enjoyed being back.
It's nice to have you back.
If somewhat tired and
Mm-hmm.
slightly drained, but it was nice.
If you can, I would recommend giving the last one a once over. 'Cause
I will do.
it probably does have
sure.
so much that you would benefit from knowing. But yeah.
I enjoyed the flashback as well, by the way. I forgot to say that.
Yeah?
Enjoyed the flashback. Flashback was fun. Let's get the old bone sages.
Yeah, that was fun. I'll be honest, that was a lot of fun to do as well. Because see anything that I can do to develop the Obsidian Star. Honestly, I just enjoy saying that. To be honest, the Obsidian Star. So
Obsidian Star.
any chance I get to say Obsidian Star, golden.
Cool. I'll try and make as much cultural checks
Yeah.
as possible for you then.
That's the way I want my Vesks, full of culture.
Mhm.
What about you, Alex?
Um,
Or should I say
Yeah,
Nix
enjoyed.
5?
yeah,
Or should I say Query?
we'll never know.
No.
I continue to enjoy the Lyko shenanigans. Enjoy his babysitting.
Yeah, the second viewing of the babysitting was funnier because I got to do stupid stuff in the background of like a serious phone call, and
Yeah,
that was
that was
enjoyable.
And just enjoying Lyko trying to be semi-professional.
Yeah, it was nice to have like the Quint, answering the phone.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was good because it's exactly what like Commander Babak said to you. It was like Quint.
Yeah. Quint.
Yeah, and I like the almost snap for Quint there, being like, okay, I'm deputized again. Almost as if that's all you
I'm
needed.
Back in my groove, baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As weird as that groove now is, right?
Mm.
But I mean, things change. Lyko changes. Lyko's charges change. That's just how it goes. And I loved the juxtaposition of showing the flashback when you say Bone Sage to Zora, and Zora seeing the fucking like slaughter of like half of the Obsidian Star, and
Mhm.
like people that are like, as I said, solar entities blasting into these things and being like, Bone Sage says no.
Wait,
ver-
you trigger me, mate.
yeah, right. Versus like having like Lyko standing in a room being like, well, this one's eating a cushion, so and putting the feathers in its hair. I guess it's hair. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Like, I love doing stuff like that because, like, if the audience were to see the flashback that Zora saw, it was not Sindael. Just for clarity, because I don't know if that was a bit vague, but Sindael was not the one they saw. In case that was implied in a way, it was a different Bone Sage. But yeah,
Okay, so I don't need to draw my gun as soon as I see him. Just out of PTSD.
I mean,
Fuck you! Shit! I'm gonna
I mean,
die.
you could do it anyway, but
I'll
no.
probably die. But
Well, I mean, didn't really do Lyko any harm. Yeah. What about anything else there, Nix?
I actually enjoyed just kind of getting back more to some of the inter-party dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, now as well that we kind of. I mean, I don't actually know how long it's been since we've all been together.
Yeah,
Um,
it has been a while. The
Yeah,
party
it's-
have been split for like maybe 3 or 4 sessions, and
Yeah.
that's been over like maybe a couple of months, to be honest.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we're all feeling our characters now a bit more, maybe.
Mm.
So
Well-
having that dialogue, having kind of developed a few sessions separately,
Yeah,
is
it's good
to get
because
back into.
like definitely what you say there about when you are yourself in the RP setting, you do need to be on top of your game when it comes to knowing who your character is and isn't. So yeah, No, I totally agree. It is good to have you guys like buy into that a bit more. In general though, like the RP is usually top quality from you guys. I always enjoy it. It's always quite funny, the back and forth. You just have a good dynamic, and it's why like if we do get a fifth, I just hope it's someone that does gel. It's the same as like, you know, we need the Mantis edition for Guardians 2, you know, to the group. We can't just have anybody, you know.
It's a bit on the nose, that comparison.
It is a bit, but only obviously we do it in reverse where we lost our Mantis, you know. But yeah, maybe some kind of pirate angel love child, maybe we could get next time, you know. But yeah, the other person, then, unless Alex, do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Good.
That's all good.
Lyko?
Have you tried doing the time warp again?
I'm
so
sorry.
yeah, I think really everything. Never be sorry.
Okay.
I think everything really sort of been covered, but I'll talk a bit anyway because you know how I like doing that.
That's why I left you
It
to
was a
last.
great. It's a great deal of fun, sort of doing the little conversational bits that lightened up the tone of like I was saying, because it wasn't particularly dark or grim, but we were retreading through stuff which was.
It was like a clip
a
show
bit
almost.
But at the time we were going through it, sorry, excuse me yawning, was a bit. It was mysterious. It was threatening, if not sinister. I mean, it was definitely sinister. Let's be honest with things with people. But it was, yeah, it was sort of. And I think, like, from our perspective, going through it, it's a little bit sanitized because we've been through it and it's taken the edge off. Like, we don't feel threatened by it because we feel that's in the past, and because also, like, if anything, it's less threatening because as it went through, I was getting the idea that yeah, he was going to be the shadowy presence. So. Yeah, it was, if anything, quite sort of sanitized for me, but you know, in character, not necessarily. So it was interesting, like coming from that, and then you have the little bit, and unfortunately, yeah, because I think it worked more to have it that we'd had the conversation prior to that. I think that worked better. It's a little unfortunate, just the way timing wise it worked out, but. We can fix that in post.
I mean, we won't, but we could.
We won't. But it's cool. It's a little bit of levity. It was cool that it happened afterwards because, as I say, it brought that little bit of levity. But it also is amusing, just if it happened the right order anyway. But obviously, in our heads, we can arrange
I
it.
don't even know what would really change other than, like...
Nothing. It wouldn't really matter. Just be where the scene happened. Because all the scenes weren't really interacting with each other.
See, if you guys could see the time index on each of your instances, my god, the fact that you're even able to phone each other is a miracle. Genuinely, yeah.
Oh yeah, but this is a contrivance for the sake of gameplay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you know, so it was good having that bit of levity. It also was a good excuse for me to information dump to the captain, which I felt was the most appropriate course of action, because Nix's phone call was slightly weird, and also because at that point I was kind of still very distracted and hadn't snapped out of it entirely. And I think, like, I've always done this where I've tried to be more professional with Zora because Lyko has this view that the captain's the captain, right? The captain might be weird because he's a big Vesk. But yeah, like for everyone in the Pact worlds, the Vesk are known either as sort of horrifying things or as enemy combatants, right? They're not really something most people have experience with, and they are very different. And Zora's quite an unusual Vesk on top of that. So it's like, yeah, the captain might be odd, but the captain's the captain. His ship, his rules, and so like bringing that degree more formality. In addition to like the little bit of, okay, I'm deputized, I'm acting as a steward. Like, even if he's not consciously thinking, okay, I am a steward. I like the idea that he is just sort of, without quite even thinking about it, just falling back. You know, I don't know if anyone else has ever had this experience. I work in South Asia Library, so there you go. For anyone listening, I've mentioned where I work, and now you can come and dox me. But you know, I've mentioned I work in libraries before, and that I'm from Ayrshire, so yeah, I don't mind putting that out there. There are a number of libraries, of course, and I don't work in all of them. But sometimes I'll walk into one, and I'll have to stop myself. I know I'll successfully, like, acting like I work there. Like, if I want to take a book out, I've done it in the past where I've just walked behind the desk and issued it myself, and no one said anything because they know me and they're like, "Yeah, he's another employee." But then I've realised after the fact, oh yeah, shouldn't do that.
I actually did the same thing, weirdly. Soon I used to work in, obviously, the Polo Lounge, fairly famous Glasgow club, and even for years after I stopped working there, I'd still pick up empty glasses and go sit them at the glass kind of collector's area of the bar. Just because I'm like, it's just habit.
Occasionally when I'm walking through a
Yeah.
library, even if it's not when I work in.
And it's that weird kind of inbuilt programming, isn't it?
Yeah, you're in that space and that mindset takes over.
Mhm.
And because he worked a lot in the station, this is a role, like, he's not done ambassadorial duties, but the way he's thinking of it is, like, as I said, he's babysitting. As a former space cop, he'll have done that before, right? That's just something you do.
Yeah.
You have to, like, maybe sit
It's
in
probably
a
the
assistant
short
or
straw,
maybe sit
right?
in a-
It's probably the
Yeah,
short straw. It's
like,
going, you have
look after the
babysitting
informant,
duties,
or
yeah.
you keep an eye on such and such and see if they slip up, or whatever. So he's used to this kind of shit, and he's very much went back into that mode. And I liked that it came out more with the captain because he's established relationship with the captain.
Mhm.
Such. So I was pleased with how I played that. I know saying I was pleased with how.
No,
great
I
my
think
own
it's a good thing
performance
to
is,
showcase for people though as well in general. This is what Lyko's like with Zora. He might not be like
Yeah.
that with Zigg, but he's like this with
Oh,
Zora.
yeah, it's quite different.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you saw you spoke a little bit more informally with Zigg.
Mhm.
And in fact, I made that point to, especially in his first appearance, like when Zigg first came to meet us, and I think, like, did I scratch his head or something?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he like ruffled his head. Yeah.
I think he's not terribly used to Yosoki.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're probably not the most common on Abalon,
Absalom.
I don't think. No, not the station, on the world he's from
Oh,
originally.
Abalon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining. Well, they're probably not the most common in the station either, right? They're a bit of an unusual lot.
I mean, they turn up in random places, right?
Yeah, but
They're
they're
kind
not
of
like,
just
they're not as prolific as humans, say.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, definitely not.
So I'm imagining that they're one of the races he has less experience with, and also I kind of imagine a lot of people, because they see them as furry animals, like intelligent furry animals, but like their default perception, like we talk about them as rat people or things like that, when in fact they are highly intelligent creatures
Well, yes.
with a
they-
civilization that happen to resemble rats. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Lyko has a slightly patronising attitude towards him, and it came out and he's like, our friend, our young friend.
What I
you
love
know-
though about that is like see the comparison of what Zigg is currently facing right now as
yeah,
well.
it's horrible.
And it's like, oh my god, our young friend, and it's like fighting to survive against this weird like Vault Guardian monster thing that's trying to kill him, and then also just what Zigg has done in the past as well, given the trauma at the temple, as well, and what like Zigg had to face there. And if anyone who is actually mechanically aware of Zigg's potential output, you'd be like, wow, if Zigg and Lyko went head to head, I think as long as Zigg got the first initiative, which maybe is a tricky bit, it's a tricky role, but yeah, I think
The thing is, like with Lyko, I don't know that he would win a straight fight with anyone, but he wouldn't engage in a straight
exactly, yeah, that's the whole operative shtick, isn't it?
fight. Yeah,
But like
Um,
Zigg's ability to output damage is actually really just like
but I think that sort of works with the steward idea really well because, right, see when the cops go in, like, they don't think, what's proportionate force to the drug den we're busting? They say, right lads, we've got our
Everybody goes
MP5s,
in.
we're busting down the door, there's a chopper overhead. You know,
Everybody
we're
get
playing
fucking
Metallica at volume. Enter Sandman blaring, people come out and go, no, I've heard that 3,000 times! Why? But, you know, it's not about, like, he's not the kind of guy that's up for fear combat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so it's like there's a different relationship with them, and it's not necessarily anything to do with their level.
probably
of power
actually
or
why
even their
we
perceived level
we
of power.
discussed this before. It's maybe why you and Shakos got on so well, is because she's willing to do what she needs to do on paper by the book, right? On paper, because she ain't gone places, and you probably did things fairly by the book to a
Yeah, he
point
was-
in
he
your
was
career,
pretty-
right? And
I don't
obviously,
think he would have been. I think he would have been. And maybe we'll at some point do a prequel session or something. But my view is that Lyko probably bent the rules every now and then, but I don't think he would be the sort of person who would be out and out breaking them. Like, he wasn't Dirty Harry.
yeah, exactly. Like,
He wasn't solving murder cases with a fucking handgun, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, like, so that was fun. The conversation with Next 5 was fun. Next 5's every conversation, it's particularly with me, but like a lot of his conversations seem to be just a perpetual tone of "oh no." It's just really irritating.
I like how Nix 5 is the one that walks in after a party just before the parents arrive home, though, right? That's the Nix 5 effect, it seems to be, which is you step in and go, why is everything on fire? Oh, here are the people who
Yeah,
want
the
this to
gift
not be
from-
on fire.
Is it Community?
Yeah.
The gifts from?
Yeah, where Troy walks in with the pizzas.
Yeah, I haven't seen Community, so I'm aware of the gift because
Yeah.
I'm far too twittery.
But like that is the vibe, and I don't know if it's just my setup for certain things because of the way Nix is. I don't know if it's just what you guys do for my imagination, but it does always. I've been actually laughing about this when I was writing a couple of sessions back when I was planning on the whole Lore Spire thing, and I was just laughing at that exact thought, going, one day Nix will do something that isn't just walking into the room of regret and going, why did I come in here?
Yes.
But it's good.
Yeah, sometimes Nick gets to be the source of the regret,
Yeah.
but that's mostly the self-destruction thing.
It was very, very funny when you phoned yourself by accident. Because, yeah, of course. Zigg
That
did
was
it.
really good.
Honestly, it would have been wrong for that role to
Yes.
have worked out. It just wouldn't have felt
Yeah.
right if Zigg had
Well-
actually had the useful thing.
Colin, you know how the rules go for me. It's just
Yeah, they tend to give you what you need.
yep, and
Um,
it's just wonderful. And
So
the part that I liked about that as well as him calling himself is funny, but it's the again, it's the idea that the engineer who thought, I've fixed the problem, I've given Zigg the thing that fixes the problem, I've lost the thing, I'll fix the thing
and then
before
it's
me.
like, oh, I've given Zigg the thing.
I was like, the problem was Zigg, not me. Zigg was the problem. I look forward to getting us all in the one place in the one time.
Yes.
Yes, I can't wait.
You will wait because you'll wait on them.
Well, I mean, I can't. Obviously, I'll have to wait, but
Can I also just say, just in the off chance that she continues to listen, Oka, I'm sorry that didn't work out for you in terms of being in this game, and I hope that when things, or if things, change, that you're able to return. It was great fun playing with you. Emmeline was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think our characters all have edge in the sense of, like, if you were to describe the character in outline to someone, they'd say, "Oh, that's quite a sort of edgy. Oh, yeah, fucking knife."
Well, it's the
blow."
Misfits gang, isn't it?
Yeah, but like in terms of how they play him, Nyx is very chill. Lyko is like really amenable and pleasant most of the time. The thing is, like Lyko is not a raging arsehole. He's just quite devoid of sort of conscience. He's kind of empty, right? He's not just a dick. He's just kind of possibly soulless in a literal sense.
Yeah.
Like Zigg is obviously traumatized, but
Yeah.
Zigg doesn't come across as just like, oh, woe is me. Zigg comes across as very excitable and very pleasant.
It's like, look at this new thing. Look at the new thing. If I don't look at the new thing, I'll think about the trauma.
even Zora is like, yeah, Zora, a big Vesk war hero. But Zora's going around going like, just chuckling at everything. It's like, the Veskarian would have that. Like, nothing particularly.
Yeah, but even on that as
a
well,
result.
that's what I love about Zora, though, is we get the Zora going, the Vesk would just kill you all, or enslave you all. Why are you even arguing about whose cup this is? In the background, just seeing hundreds of people
Destroy the
dying.
cup.
People in Zora's mind just seeing the wave and wave of destruction that like Zora has witnessed in his lifetime.
But yeah, like that we could be very edgy characters with what we've got, but we haven't been, and I like that. But it was nice having someone who, I think they call it the Lancer, in terms of like, you know how they said Spike was the second Cordelia? Because as different as our characters were they were the friend that was willing to be a prick to their friends because they were a friend through circumstance, and they thought everyone around them was an idiot. Evelyn had a little bit of that.
It was also the speaks their mind, then deals with consequences, doesn't
Yeah.
think if I say this, this reaction will happen. Because Emlyn was very direct, and I loved that about Emlyn's character.
I've just been zapped by a plasmoid. I'm going to do the exact same thing that got
Yeah.
me zapped. Went for a really bad experience again. Right
Yeah.
now, straight away. Who gives a crap?
Yeah, but the thing is,
like,
what I
oh,
love
well
is she was brought up, like Emlyn was brought up in a telepathic culture, right? Their instinct, it's a bit like, you know, the Simpsons koala that touches the electricity box and falls off the pole, climbs up and touches it again. You know, it's that same idea as the inbuilt instinct is she reaches out with her mind, either to throw pencils at Nyx or to mind link with weird plasmoids. And it now looks, from Lyko's perspective at least, Emlyn wasn't the reason why they popped.
Yes,
By the
yeah,
looks
to
of things.
Lyko. Oh, there's some sort of causal fucking going on. The
Like,
the causal
technically,
relationship
Lyko
maybe
is
not
now
what we
to
thought.
blame.
Yeah, and that's why he asked, like,
Mm.
when did you know this? Did you have to do this? Do you know this beforehand and still had to do this in order to know it, sort of thing?
Mm.
It was great fun, just like going through that. Not again to go on so much about me section, although that was obviously you doing that particular bit.
I'll take
But
it.
no, I enjoyed that. Obviously we were a bit more rushed this session.
Yeah,
well,
I wanted
for
to
various
just,
reasons.
I just wanted to bring this one to a close, to be honest, this chapter, because I think it's been, chapter 3 has been something. It really has been. Like, if we have a quick glance back at the absolute nonsense, we've had self-destructive tendencies, dance puppet dance, shops, bots and autodocs, sometimes the goblins win, in the dark, meetings and greetings. And I think that nicely brings us to this section where we named this one,
Cannot tell you how proud I am of sometimes the goblins.
and how shameful Zora is about that one.
How I was hoping
Man,
Ellen would
They
get
are
that.
the heroes of a campaign that Ryan
Yep.
is running in the side without telling us.
It's the
I'm
PCs
so
of that
upset
campaign.
with that. And if you do not let me get vengeance, Ryan, I will be highly upset. I want to see the goblins again.
Oh, like, don't get me
Here I
wrong, like,
was,
I mean,
here I was putting money on Emlyn getting kidnapped by goblins.
that would have been funny. That would have been. But no, like, her and Emma will have a lot of business to deal with now.
Oh dear.
But obviously, she never got off at the first floor. She got off at the second floor, and that is personnel. So I wonder what deal. Because keep in mind, Emlyn did things unbeknownst to Zora. I'm going to put that out there to the whole group there. So
Mind stuff.
Olka
So
did a
there's-
lot of things unbeknownst to the group.
Breaking the
Yeah.
fellowship.
I mean, we know that, but
yeah,
at the brave people, there's deeper level than.
yes. So, but yeah, what we're thinking for a title for this one then, because yeah, a lot happened in there.
Babysitting.
Babysitting's not bad. It does kind of cover two realms of the story, I guess. But I think
Call me.
Lost and Found is what I was thinking. But that's my suggestion. Because we lost Emlyn. You lost, well, Nyx and Zigg. Nyx lost Zigg. Zigg's lost his mind. And Zora has lost the crew so far. And Emlyn. So there's that. I don't know what the found part is yet, but
I found Alice, I mean.
yeah, you found Alice. That's a thing.
Not where it's supposed to be.
No. Now think of we never spoke about that. Let's just rewind a second, and everybody can think about titles. But why is Alice in the Lorespire Citadel?
Oh no, we noticed.
Yeah. And just been like, oh, hi.
We are Borg.
Yeah. What have you done, Nyx? What have you done?
This wasn't my idea at all. Not at all.
Remember when Alice was like, so this weird thing's happening to me, and I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is? And you're like, you should just explore that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it wrong? That's
Weird.
how you learn things.
Chapter 4 will tell us. Right. Yeah. So
I vote for Call Me.
I like the idea that for the next 2 chapters,
Call me
Like-
maybe.
Nyx just walks in and out of the Lore Spire complex to get
That's
new
looking
endings.
more- I mean, that's cool for one thing, but I was thinking more Blondie.
Atomic.
Tell me,
Uh,
etc. etc. I can't say.
right, so let's
more.
get some suggestions in then. I like Lost and Found, but that's obviously just a suggestion. You're just going to lobby for various other things. I'm going to type that in our chat, and then we'll slowly wind down. So Lost and Found. Dum 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 dum. That's my suggestion. Anybody else got anything else? Pop them in.
Why?
I don't know if it should just be why, but it's not inaccurate. But I think all the sessions could be called that.
Yeah, just why?
Like,
But why?
do we have "It's a Step to the Right"?
I mean, honestly, I'd be down for it.
Is that the right lyric
Yeah.
though? It's
It's a jump to
just
left, it's no
just
step to the right.
And then a step.
and then a step to the right.
Yeah, and then.
What's the exact lyric? Can we look that up?
It's just a jump to the left and then a step to the right.
And then a
You put your
step
hands on your hips,
to the
Put your knees in
right.
tight.
but
so,
it's the pelvic thrust that really drives you insane.
I quite like that one. And then a step to the right because it's really
Yeah.
nicely
That's good.
reminiscent.
That's clever. It's gonna be like people will expect time shenanigans. It'll be good, or they won't if they don't get it. In which case,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you? How do you
Yeah,
not know
where
that?
have you been for the last 19 episodes?
Did you ever, I mean, did you ever go to a school disco and hear the horrific remix? Did you never watch the thing itself?
So what,
Get yourself sorted out, listeners.
anybody else? Because I like that one. I'm not going to lie.
I like that a
I
lot.
like that one as well.
Okay, good. And I think it's nice because it does jump all the way back to session 4. Dear God, somehow. Can I just mention as well, I had a lot of fun being able to close a circle in terms of stories because being able to put Lyko everywhere he needed to be when he needed to be there.
Yeah.
Gods. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then step to the right. And then I need to just change it so it's all formatted correctly. Well, guys, that is a lot of fun, this game.
Thank you so much.
Yep, we will return after a short break, hopefully maybe with a 5th, maybe not, maybe just continuing as the 4 of you
Shall
guys.
endeavour to bring one now.
As I said, if anybody does feel the need to randomly have listened to this specific part of the game in a reasonable time frame, contact us. I mean, maybe you're the 5th person we're looking for. Maybe you're the final fragment, or maybe the first fragment. We're not sure yet. Nobody knows what those are yet. We've still not really worked on the title yet, but that's fine. We'll get there. Yeah, I also anybody that wants to suggest weird things for Cindy to put in its hair. Yep, please write them in the comments as well. And in general, what should Nix 5 regret next? Put that in the comments too. Yeah, we've got
Everything.
yeah, pretty much. And then a step to the right. We will hopefully return for chapter 4 with potentially 5 people, and we'll all be level 4 guys because we're all dinged. Yay! Go team. Maybe you can take on those
Hey.
goblins now, Zora. Maybe.
The money.
But yeah, thanks guys for playing. It's a pleasure always. Olka, you will be missed. You were a pleasure to GM for.
You were fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll see you around sometime.
Fuck bitches, get money.
Yep. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody, and goodbye all our lovely listeners.
Goodbye, both of you.
Bye, Nick.
Goodbye.
That's trash.